A lot of money.
But the president says it'd be an even bigger deal if companies choose to manufacture steel and aluminum in the U.S., creating a lot of jobs. Now, he threatened to double the tariff on those metals coming in from Canada. Angry Ontario had put a 25% charge on electricity sent to some U.S. states. But the president backed down after Ontario Premier Doug Ford canceled the charge.
I thought this was the right decision. They understand how serious we are.
The talks in Saudi Arabia the U.S. had with Ukraine could lead to a 30-day ceasefire in the war. If Russia agrees to it, Ukraine has.
Russia's been easier to deal with so far than Ukraine, which is not supposed to be the way it is, but it is, and we hope to get Russia.
President Trump had frozen U.S. assistance to Ukraine, including intelligence sharing, days after an Oval Office meeting with Zelensky ended abruptly and without any deal. After the ceasefire proposal, the Trump administration lifted those suspensions.
Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House. As the president works to eliminate the Department of Education, he's ordered half its workforce be cut, let go. Secretary Linda McMahon tells Fox they'll be sure.
The grants, the appropriations that come from Congress, all of that are being met, and none of that's going to fall through the cracks.
Getting rid of the entire department would require approval in Congress, which Democrats might block, and they could do the same to this.
On this vote, the yeas are 217. The
House Republicans passed a spending bill last night trying to prevent a government shutdown ahead of Friday's deadline, but Democrats oppose what they say are program funding cuts. Could be a compromise in the Senate. America's listening to Fox News.
This month and every month, we remember the over 66 million babies whose lives have been senselessly sacrificed on the altar of abortion. Surely, the left doesn't understand the repercussions of a land that takes the blood of the innocent, and that should only motivate us more to save more babies and their moms. Preborn is a network of clinics, and they fight every day to save more babies and more moms. To date, they've rescued over 300,000 babies' lives by introducing a mom to her child on an ultrasound. That baby's chance at life doubles. Preborn showers moms and babies with God's love and assistance for up to 2 years. So when they shout abortion, we shout life. Let's save more babies this year than last. One ultrasound is just $28, and only $140 will help rescue 5 babies. All of the gifts are tax deductible. So donate securely. Dial pound 250. Say the keyword baby. That's pound 250, keyword baby. Or go to preborn.com/hope. Preborn.com/hope. Sponsored by Preborn.
The Morning Extra, only on Extra 106.3.
Morning, y'all. It is halfway through the work week. Wednesday. Tug and Los until 10. Glad that you were here. Jeray, you know what Jeray did this morning?
What did he do?
Jeray.
What kind of nastiness is he up to?
Buddy, filthy. Dirty, filthy, low down.
I mean, I walk into that control room, and I always say the same thing. Smells like sex in here.
That's right. I don't think he was doing that, but he did go to Waffle House early this morning.
Oh, wow.
Yes,
you
sir.
did it right.
And knocked out some old hash browns.
Nice.
See?
Little cheese and toast.
Okay.
What is it? They used to call it cheese and eggs.
Yeah.
And now it's like 2 eggs and bacon breakfast.
Did they have the egg premium still going?
Yep. 50 cents extra an egg.
The egg prices are coming down. It is lower than the time that you've basically had in like the last 9 months, but yet the egg premium has not found its way to the marketplace at Waffle House yet.
Reckon when it will.
Probably a few more weeks.
Yeah.
Big shout out to my staff up there at Town Lake Waffle House.
Okay.
Right there off 575. Doing great work.
That's awesome, man.
Do they know you by name when you show up?
I don't know if they know me by name, but I'm the only one in there at about 4 a.m. on a
because
because
during the entirety of the pandemic, Waffle House number 803, shout out to 803, I would walk in. I pretty much kept him in business. Like I would show up and what's my plate? It's like $7. I'd be like, well, let me tip you $8.
Yeah,
there you go.
And I just kept that going all during that time period until everybody else recognized, hey, this chest cold, you can probably go to Waffle House through it.
You'll be fine. We used to go to the Waffle House on Old Milton. I think that's store number 1200. And let me tell you, those dudes and those ladies are the best. They're just the funniest people. They have the best sense of humor. They just living life over there. You know what I mean? It is like you went to your aunt and uncle's house and you ain't seen your cousins in a day or two. And you know, and everybody's just, and they're always the same. It's the same great folks, same smile, same laughs, same quality. You know, there's never a dip, there's never a drop. It's always good, man.
The most reliable franchise in my life.
Amen to that. And you know, just as we remember, their CEO just passed, Walt Emmerich. He passed last year.
Is that right?
Yeah. Great guy. Man, what a terrific dude. Worked his way up. He started in the store and worked all the way up to CEO.
I just love when you tell people that Waffle House actually has their own national weather system.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, that's
to keep
right.
track of what's open and what's not. That when you have a catastrophic weather situation that hits a region, especially the Southeast, Waffle House is one of the companies that pays to keep track of it so they know what to keep open and what not to keep open.
They know. So what happens is the federal government, when they're trying to figure out where the devastation starts and or ends, they use the Waffle House Index. They know if the exit before the destruction, the Waffle House is open, we can go that far.
Yeah.
And we can get in there and figure out. And wherever the Waffle Houses are closed,
then
we know we can't get in.
We got problems.
Because Waffle House don't close. I don't even know why they have locks on the doors, because they don't close or anything.
I remember that's when I knew we were in trouble in COVID, when the Waffle Houses shut down everywhere. I was like, man, this is getting serious.
That's why 803 kept it open.
Nah, boy.
We stayed open.
They never
Ready.
closed?
No.
That's awesome. God bless 803. God bless 803. We need a song or something for that one. Goodness gracious, that's great. Waffle House, so good.
So shout out Waffle House to start the morning.
What
Thanks
you're
for taking care of Jure.
You're a hash browns at
Hash
Waffle
browns,
House?
yeah. Hash browns and mushrooms.
Yeah, I always get the Waffle House bowl, which is hash browns with egg and cheese and
by
I always
the
get
way,
sausage.
it did throw me for quite a while when Waffle House said, "Oh, hey, we now have a credit card." System in order to take that payment, because you'd always, for the longest time, they were cash only.
Yeah.
Then when they told me, "Oh no, we don't do orders over the phone anymore. We have an app."
Yeah.
That was the moment where I don't feel like I was betrayed, but I did feel a little bit awkward when. So you're not going to take my order over the phone? No, Carlos,
baby.
you got to send the app over.
Yeah,
do it in the
that's
app.
right. Just
Okay.
right there in the app.
I'm not even
the
a
app.
smoker, but I still kind of remember that nostalgia when you'd sit down and there was little tin ashtrays on the table.
That's right. I remember those two.
A couple of bikers next door just ripping Marlboro Reds.
First time I
Burning them
remember
down.
being in a Waffle House is in there's like two of them in all of DFW over in Dallas Fort Worth, and there's one of them on the east side of Fort Worth, and that was just down the street from my apartment. I'd always stop there before driving up to the university for baseball tournaments or baseball, whatever we had on a Saturday. So I'd be in there at like 5 a.m. Then you would just be like, smells like hash browns and cigarettes. Sweet.
What a great combination. I love it. And it reminds me of George. So when you talk about Fort Worth, because I know nothing about the area you grew up in. I know nothing about it except for George Strait songs. That's how I know Fort Worth. Does Fort Worth ever cross your mind? That's
telling you.
That's what I know about Fort Worth.
One of these days, because I had my daughter and I, my oldest daughter, we were in Dallas for nationals for volleyball last year. And one of the coolest things was taking her to Sundance Square in downtown Fort Worth and then the Fort Worth Stockyards.
Yeah.
And just telling her, so your dad, when he was 18, see over there, they had all-you-can-eat ribs for $9.99, and me and my teammates would be in there for like 3 hours.
Until they threw us out.
It was a lot of that sort of stuff where she was
The
like, Dad,
reminiscing.
did you go here? Did you go there? I was like, yeah, we did.
So great, man. That's what if you want to talk about what life's all about, that's it. Just sharing those memories, sharing those moments, passing down, the things that you've done and your life experiences to your daughter. I think it's great.
Well, it's fun, being that she's now 14, and they've changed the rules according to the NCAA, where you can now have, because there's so many advantages baked into Division I sports in that they have more scholarships and they have basically they're able to provide a whole lot more than what you get at the Division II, Division III, NAIA level. So now what they've done is they've changed up the rules to where Division II programs can now contact these kids as young as 13 years old. So my daughter has like her list of D1s she'd like to be at, and then she has her list of D2s. And it's cool that on her list of Division II programs, she's like, well, what about Texas Wesleyan University? And I'm kind of like, yeah, well, it's a little too far for me now, but I'll entertain it.
We'll go visit, man.
I was gonna say, well, you know what? If you wanna entertain playing in their program, we'll talk about it.
That's cool. As you wear your Texas Wesleyan hat.
As I wear my hat, yeah, it's always the one I've got on for the most part.
That's so cool, man. Having a legacy, that'd be super cool.
Did you see I'm sorry. Talking about hats in Texas, did you see the Rangers hat that got pulled from shelves?
No, what did they do?
It said Texas across the front of the hat, but then they had the Texas T for the Rangers in the middle of it. So it said Tetas, which, as I understand it, in Espanol, is
it's a little something different for you.
I'm afraid to look that up.
Just say that there are so you have
Is it what I expect?
you have Tex-Mex in Texas, right?
Yeah.
And so one of the terms when it's used to observing breasts, would go along those lines.
No, that's funny. That makes me want to get one of those hats.
No, they're gone, man. Probably on eBay.
Yeah, I was going to say whoever bought the few people that were able to buy them, probably sell them for a grip of money. It's like I remember the same kind of thing happened. Remember when the Braves, they were going to go back and use the Screaming Indian head, the old from the 80s. This is probably 7-8 years ago now. They were going to bring that back and use it as their spring training hat. And then some random rogue website that had 4 followers made a stink about it, and they decided to pull them. And those were being sold on eBay for a grip of money because they had just put them out, and then they went and, took them back off the shelves. And then, like 5 years later, they released them, and I even got one later.
There is one person within the Braves marketing team that I would just say this. This person is the woke barometer.
Oh, no.
Because I still remember going back into the ballpark in 2021, and they sent out an email to everybody who had bought tickets, asked if he felt safe, how things went. We're going to do third of capacity, then we'll go to half, and then we'll go to full. The Braves went to full pretty quickly. Like when there's those sort of promotions, like this particular person was the one who was responsible for getting rid of the foam tomahawk because you had a St. Louis Cardinals player who said he was of Indian descent and he was offended by it. And then when you went onto his Twitter page, you would find just nothing but derogatory stuff towards gay people. You're like, really?
Yeah.
You use this guy as your barometer?
You're exactly right.
To say that we need to get rid of the foam tomahawk?
And they still aren't back.
Yeah.
They still don't have them.
I just love that they never pick on Kansas City for doing the chop. But it's always the
they
Braves.
try to, but the Hunt family doesn't care. That's the awesome part. They're like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
I love the chop.
Yeah, me too.
Complain how you want to.
Yeah, that stuff is so irritating to me. Somebody just sent, I don't know who. Oh, Jerry.
It's Jerry. Jerry sent the Tetas hat.
That's
it really is in your face.
I'm not even a Texas fan, but I would like to have that. I would wear that hat proudly. That's great. Oh, anyway, a good day if you are a peace-loving kind of person.
There you go, Tug. Just so you have it, the slang term.
Oh,
the
I got you.
Yeah,
I'm following now. I had a feeling that's what it was. It seemed so clear and so obvious.
I'm only here to help from growing up in the area.
Yeah, I know, right?
My Tex-Mex is strong.
That's right.
I took 2 semesters of Spanish in high school. And
they don't really cover.
They didn't have that one in there. That was not the book.
You find that out from other kids.
I learned all the dirty words in the first couple of weeks and forgot everything else.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. How do you say my name is Jerry? I have no idea, but I can tell you Tetas.
Yeah. Me amo Tetas. Yeah.
Let's go. That's so awesome. I was a dummy and took French. Instead of my mama was so mad at me.
Just in case, the French are going to lead the war.
Exactly. As if French was going to help me in any shape, form, or fashion. When I would imagine the behind English, Spanish is the most spoken language in the United States. Or more Spanish speakers in the United States than any other secondary language. And yet, I still had to buck the system. I have that rebellious. I have that just the tiniest rebellious streak in me. And it bubbles up in the most random of places where it doesn't always make sense. And it's like, are you going to die on that? That's the hill you're going to die on?
That's the one.
Why? And Mama's like, I remember Mama was just like, do you not realize how many people speak Spanish also? I was like, Mom, I don't care. I need to learn French. And the only time it helped me is when I was in the Navy and our first or second port visit on a Mediterranean cruise was Toulon, France, and I was able to get around doing the most basic of basic, and I thought I was cool because I could say a couple things, and that was it. That's the only time it's helped me. Can you imagine how many times Spanish would have helped me? throughout my life. It would have been
countless.
Countless, limitless.
Well, you are running into a derivative of Latin. So it does help you in terms of there are certain things that you will read and go, oh, I kind of get what's being said there.
Yeah, right.
And if you ever got dropped off in Mexico, now far be it for me to say that I would survive. If you dropped me off in Mexico right now, I'd die.
No, you wouldn't.
But
you're a survivor.
I could talk my way into at least getting near the border. Just near it.
I love it. I could talk my way into getting to the border. That's so great.
I wouldn't be able to. Staring across the Rio Grande going, I wonder how I'm going to get back.
Yeah. These guys, they'd be like, who's this hillbilly?
I'd be missing a coyote. I'd be working with a coyote, and I'd be missing, some sort of internal organ.
Right. You'd sacrifice.
They took my spleen.
Yeah, that's right.
Now I'm stuck here.
I had to give up one kidney, but I was able to get back home. I just read that there's now how there was the coyotes doing, there's like $10,000 to come to America.
Oh, yeah. The price is up.
Right. Because it's almost impossible to get across the border. I mean, they're saying, the people in Panama and Mexico are saying it's like nothing we've ever seen before how secure this border is. But then there's the reciprocal. It's only $500 to get help to go back home to wherever you're from.
So the word was, and it was published yesterday, that it was $6,000 beforehand under the Biden administration. It is now tripled to $18,000 because how much more difficult it is if you want to be snuck into the United States by one of these cartel coyote organizations.
But how crazy is it? It's only $500 to go home. Like if they will help
no problem.
They will help you get home for $500. I mean, that's how locked down that border is.
See, I would make a Breaking Bad joke right now, but you wouldn't get it at all.
No, Jure might. Would you?
I'd be like, I'm going to go to the vacuum guy.
Oh, yeah.
$500, and he's going to send me to wherever I need to go.
Get you your new papers, and you'd be good to go.
That's right. Make sure you meet me here at noon. You got it.
I'm laughing awkwardly because I have no idea.
He's like, I have no idea. The guy that cleans up the mess.
Ah, got you. Because, it was. I've seen one episode, so I kind of at least have a general.
There's a guy in the series. He runs a vacuum shop.
Yeah, and he has to clean up all the blood and guts, right?
No. You give him a certain amount of money, and he basically makes you disappear.
Oh.
So when it's time to get out of the criminal world and head off to, let's say, Canada or Alaska to make a new life, he's the one who gets it done for you.
Oh, wow. All right.
But it's not $500.
No, yeah, I'm sure. Well, going home from the United States is either that or they use that CBP now called CBP Home, which was brilliant, dude. That was a brilliant move. Like whoever came up with that idea or that plan, was like, wait, we already have this on every one of these. There's up to 1 million people that have the CBP One at the time. Now CBP Home. They had that on their phone. They're like, well, just update the app and you're able to coordinate with the United States government to go back to where you're from and still have the opportunity one day to come here legally. If you're deported and you've resisted this, there's you're done. You're never able to come back to the United States. So, I mean, there's probably people that are going to give in. I read that FDR did this. It was a deportation thing. And there was, whatever the number was of people that were here legally, and they said same thing. You can self-deport, and many of them did. It was a interesting article that I was reading last night before.
Well, this is also where the family situation is now getting into play. People who do not want to be separated, and the Trump administration has made it very clear, we're not going to separate. We're going to send you all together.
Yeah, everybody's going.
So this is where people who are self-deporting are sending in their report and saying, okay, I'm getting out of here.
Self-preservation, family preservation.
Getting out of here together.
Yeah.
Well, I think about, can't they, I'm sure they have a list of the most wanted, the violent offenders, and all the people who.
Oh, yes, of course they do.
All of that. They can cross-reference that. Look at the names who have the app installed and say, all right, we know exactly where they are.
Matter of fact, their location services is on.
Exactly.
Down to the building they're in.
But that's also the other end of it, is that you do have people that are nonviolent offenders that are also leaving on their own.
Oh, sure. Yeah,
because
that's right.
They just don't want the pain in the butt. And you now have, depending on where you are in the country, it's a lot harder to have an entire staff of illegals working for you.
Well, yeah.
The reports that are getting around, the restaurants that recognize, okay, we can't do this anymore.
all kinds of major. I would imagine in Dalton, Georgia, where all those carpet mills are, that is, they're probably doing E-Verify and really locking that down because they know that it's going to cause them problems as a company down the road.
Yeah, imagine you had a day where you weren't able to open up your restaurant, or on a lesser extent, let's say you weren't able to get the shipments that you were planning to get out of your carpet facility because your staff didn't show up because ice is in the area.
Yeah. It's bad. It's bad for everybody. That's why it's so important to get this cleaned up. That's why it's important Trump, the work he's doing. All right, when we continue, the Talkmaster Neil Boards, the only place you get Neil is Extra 106.3. Here in the morning with Tug and Los. We're on the air until 10.
From the latest breaking news to the conservative voices you know and trust, your best new follow on social media is Extra 106.3. We're at XTRA 106.3 on Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, Threads, and LinkedIn, and pretty much any social media you scroll through every day. And we drop exclusive giveaways, new daily content, and the latest breaking news from Georgia and across this great nation. Interact with your favorite Extra personalities. Get the latest on our live events and so much more. Follow at Extra 106.3 across all your social media and keep up with Atlanta's only conservative voice.
Now is the time if you have a HVAC system that needs a little tune-up, or it needs to be repaired, or it needs to be replaced. Now's the time to do it. Central Heating and Air Conditioning is who you should use to do it. They're one of the very few second-generation, locally owned HVAC companies in Atlanta. Been serving Atlanta for, 77 years. That's how long they've been here. I mean, they can see 100. They're not far off from that. Family-owned and operated for all that time. And you don't have to wait. Now's the time to get the maintenance done. That way your HVAC system keeps running at peak efficiency, extends that life of the equipment. Or if you need repairs. Yeah, it's just not working the way it's supposed to. It doesn't have to be a Carrier system, even though they are your Atlanta Carrier experts at Central Heating and Air Conditioning. They can fix any brand, repair it, get it back up and running, and hopefully have that thing last a little bit longer, But if you're at that point where you need that new system, they will give you a great deal, and now's the time to get it at Central Heating and Air Conditioning, 770-GET-HEAT. CentralHeat.com. You get Carrier warranty, Carrier products, Carrier peace of mind. 770-GET-HEAT, CentralHeat.com.
Hey, Georgia neighbors, it's time to expect more from your Medicare Advantage. Discover Sonder Health's custom plans tailored just for Georgians. Saunders offers unique benefits, including special plans for those living with chronic conditions. Some plans even come with grocery or gas benefits to support your overall well-being. Sonder Health makes it easy to get the coverage you need. See for yourself what today's Medicare Advantage can do for you. Visit SonderHealthPlans.com, a healthier state of life. Sonder Health Plans is an HMO and PPO with Medicare contracts. Enrollment in Sonder Health Plans depends on contract renewal.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers. So we build specially adapted homes at Homes for Our Troops. And thanks to our donors and supporters, this life-changing gift of freedom is provided mortgage-free to these veterans. But we need you to join us, too, in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Why pay more for prescriptions? Stop overpaying and start saving with SingleCare. It's easy. Find your prescription on singlecare.com, show the coupon at the pharmacy, and start saving. SingleCare works at pharmacies nationwide and is completely free to use, whether you have insurance or not. So the next time you fill a prescription, check SingleCare to make sure you're getting the best price. Take control of your prescription costs. Go to singlecare.com or download the free app today.
Attention, Atlanta. It's the biggest truckload safe sale of the year at the Safe Market and Liberty Safes of Atlanta. And it's happening for 3 days only. We're unloading American-made safes at up to 40% off. Gun safes, home security safes. With 3 convenient locations, there's never been a better time to buy. Hurry, because when the truck's empty, the deals are gone. Shop online or come to one of our 3 stores for even better savings. Thursday, March 20th through Saturday, March 22nd only. Call 770-242-0055 or visit thesafemarket.com now.
It's March 12th, and this is your Fox Daily Snapshot. It's National Working Moms Day. For many of us, our mothers are both breadwinners and bread makers, educators, role models, and fixtures in our lives. So take a moment to appreciate how hard mothers work to make our lives a little bit easier. And while this may not be the traditional Mother's Day, perhaps you could help prepare dinner instead of breakfast in bed. If you are a working mom, today would be the perfect day to network with other working mothers, building your social network and sharing mutual experiences. Also on this date, in 1912, Juliet Gordon-Low formed the first Girl Scout troop in Savannah, Georgia, with 18 girls. Today, Girl Scouts number in the millions. And in 1947, President Harry Truman spoke before Congress about the need to stand up against the rise of communism. The speech would become known as the Truman Doctrine and begin the Cold War between the U.S. and Russia. I'm Tushar Saxena, and that's your Fox Daily Snapshot.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
Here are your headlines for Wednesday, March 12th. The Georgia House passed the budget for fiscal year 2026. Major items include public safety, infrastructure costs for future sports events, and education. The $37.7 billion budget includes $1.5 billion in new spending. It now goes to the Senate for review. The Georgia Senate passed 2 bills imposing stricter laws on the sale of hemp-based products. If passed into law, those bills would ban THC-infused drinks and other products currently sold in Georgia. Atlanta Mayor Andre Dickens launched his re-election campaign Tuesday. So far, no challengers have announced their intentions to run against him in November. Today's weather, sunny skies with a high of 77 degrees. Showers are expected tomorrow afternoon with a possibility of severe storms this weekend. With your headlines, I'm Jerry Payne.
Neil Morris is the Talkmaster and a guy that we love to connect with every time we get a chance. He's got a unique perspective on so many things. And Neil, we have a special guest in with us this morning, Angela Morabito. So I wanted to introduce you to her as she joins in the conversation with us this morning. Are you good with that?
Yeah. Hi, Angela. Good luck.
Hi. Thank you and good morning.
Angela identifies as female, Neil, just so you know.
Well, I'm not watching y'all on YouTube, so I'm going to take your word for it.
Okay.
I can promise.
Good enough. Man, what's been going on?
Prove it.
Yeah, that's right. See, you just never know which way it's going to go, Angela. You just never know.
I'm listening, interesting. 2000 and, what was it, 17? Maybe earlier than that, had a little stock market rundown, and I'm starting to think, all of this money I'm putting away, I've got to protect it. I had a plan where I worked over at Apollo Radio, where they took 15% of every paycheck and set it aside to pay me when I retired.
Yeah, paying yourself. That's smart.
Yeah, and I wanted to preserve that. So the best way to preserve that was to move to Florida.
You had to pay fewer taxes, right?
Yeah. So when they paid it to me, I didn't have to pay the Georgia income tax. But at any rate, I just said, look, I just said, put this in federal money markets. I'm not going to make a lot of money, but I'm not going to lose any either. People need to embrace some of the responsibility that goes along with where the retirement funds go. But that's not really what's ticking me off this morning.
What is?
What is it? Yes.
McDonald's putting Angel Reese's name on their damn Coke cups.
Wow.
All right, there's a highlight or a low light from her last night where I think she missed about 4 shots right at the rim all in one play. To have that woman talking about how we'll walk if we don't get paid like NBA players, somebody needs an economics class, Neil.
Can she shoot like an NBA player? That's my question.
Not quite.
The answer is no.
No. I mean, she throws bricks all the time. But she's just a vile female. So anyway, I'm going to have to stop going to McDonald's.
Well, look, here's the thing. You probably should stop going to McDonald's anyway. I mean, it's just that good for you, Neil. I mean, that's not good food for you.
No. Wait a minute.
Oh, did I step over the line? I'm sorry.
Well, of course. No, if I'm in the mood for a quick breakfast, did you know that McDonald's has oatmeal?
I did not. I was not aware.
It's actually damn good. It really is.
All right.
And oatmeal is good for you.
Yes.
So y'all are familiar with Young Americans for Freedom, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
I went to an event last night in Naples.
That's cool.
Yeah, for them. Scott Walker was there. You know, the guy that the Wisconsin that just creamed the teachers' unions. But anyway, they had a young lady that talked about how she was really discriminated against in school because of our conservative views at the University of Florida, where virtually every professor is a socialist. It reminded me of one time the Federalist Society at Georgia State Law School invited me to come speak to them, so I did. And I noticed the guy that I knew to be the dean of the law school standing in the back of the room while I was speaking. And I learned later that he called the head of the Federalist Society into his office after I made that speech, and he told him, if you ever invite that guy or anybody like him back on this campus, you will not graduate our law school.
Wowzers.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness, Neil, that's the worst news ever. We're at the Young Americans for Freedom thing last night. Did you speak? Were you there to speak?
No, I was just there to go with some friends. Listen, guys, I don't know what I would... If somebody asked me to give a speech right now, I wouldn't know what to do.
I feel like you could come up with something.
No, I just don't have that much to say.
Okay.
But I want to know why. We have an idea for a tax plan that in today's dollars, $50 million spent developing this tax plan. $50 million.
Especially when the fair tax is out there, they just use that one to work better anyway.
Yeah. So if I admire most of what Donald Trump is doing. There seems to be a little bit of an air of chaos out there. I wish he'd slow down Elon Musk, not in what he's doing, but how he acts. Okay, but I love what Elon Musk is doing. But, hey, guy, don't dance around with chainsaws. I'm not even allowed to own a chainsaw. But $50 million to get rid of the IRS, to get rid of the income tax, to get rid of virtually all taxes and fuel this country on a consumption tax, with everybody getting 100% of their paycheck, prices remaining the same. It's a beautiful plan. And, try as I might. Back in my lawyer days, I actually worked with Donald Trump on some issues across the table, lawyer to lawyer and all that. And I talked to him just a couple of weeks before the election. Try as hard as I might, I can't even get him to say the words fair tax. Why can't it get some of his attention with $50 million of research behind it?
I don't know the answer, but Angela, what you might not know is that Neil co-wrote the fair tax book that's out there.
That's amazing.
With John Linder, and it's brilliant. And everybody, I feel like anybody that reads it or just even learns a little bit about it enjoys it and hopes that would be something that the United States would do. Have you ever had negative feedback? I mean, I guess you have.
Well,
but most people, I think, appreciate it.
I will tell you absolutely that in all my experience debating, Yale Law School tax professors and all of this stuff, nobody has ever been able to argue against the fair tax without first rewriting it. Well, a fair tax, no, it doesn't say that. Well, this is the way it would have to be passed, and then it's going to do this, and then it's going to... They all have to change the terms in order to come up with an argument. Now, just imagine, for the people that are listening, imagine this. You get 100% of your paycheck, okay? But the federal government does not get one penny from you until you have taken care of the basic needs of your family: food, shelter, clothing. Once you've taken care of your family's basic needs, then the federal government gets some of your money. Then, only then. And that's in the plan. These guys were not slouches. They went to MIT. They went to the University of Chicago. They went to all of these places.
Good educations.
Yes, with all these economists and everything. Here's some grants. Get your people working on this. Let's come up with a better tax plan. And they did. And it would be the largest transfer of power from government back to the people in the history of this country. and I can't get Donald Trump to even say the words.
You know, speaking of just simplifying the tax code and Elon Musk with chainsaws, you know, he has a company that makes flamethrowers, and every day he doesn't use one, I realize he's a much nicer person than me.
He'd be blowing it
Because
all
if
up.
I was seeing all that waste, fraud, and abuse up close, I think, and I had a bunch of flamethrowers.
I'm not allowed to have a flamethrower either.
Oh man,
Dude,
well, we got to change
and I'm not allowed on ladders.
Got to change that. But I love your idea of simplifying the tax code, because one of the left's favorite lies is, oh, if only the rich paid their fair share.
Oh, tell me
when
about it.
Nearly half of all Americans pay nothing in terms of federal income tax.
By the way, if you want the updated Doge number, there are 4.6 million government credit cards. Doge has looked at 200,000 and said, okay, these are the ones we're deactivating. 200,000 out of 4.6 million.
Well, I mean, you can't look at them all on the same day.
Of course not. That's a whole lot. But you'd have those people that protest out in front of, you know, the government buildings that are empty inside, but they're out front protesting. It's not everyday Americans, because everyday Americans, like Angela and Los were talking about, they support what Doge is doing. It's just those people that are being affected. And I feel bad that they're losing their job, but those jobs need to go away. There needs to be a different opportunity for them, and there will be in the private sector economy that Donald Trump is building.
Well, I don't feel bad when they lose their jobs. They've been backing up to the pay window forever anyway.
Fair point.
I mean,
you
they know damn well that what they're doing is not meaningful employment.
That's right. You know when you're stealing.
Yeah, get out in the private sector for a little while. See how good you are.
So and do you know, back when I started talk radio, which, by the way, Angela, is before you were even born, probably before you were conceived.
That's backing it up, Neil.
I think Neil jumped onto YouTube. Now he knows.
But anyway, way back then, and by the way, Angela, I got my job in talk radio because the talk radio host that I listened to committed suicide, so I showed up the next morning to take his job.
Oh, whoa. Okay, there's a lot happening there.
He's a cold-hearted snake, that Neil Boy.
All right, but it was the start of an illustrious radio career.
I mean, I was sitting on a lawn chair out in front of the radio station, and they go, "What are you doing here?" I said, "You haven't heard? Herb died. He's not coming in."
Ooh.
We know. Well, I'm here to do a job. But at any rate, back then, single, households where both parents were working was somewhat unusual. Okay, now it's common, and one of the reasons was that the second working parent in a two-parent working household was working to do one thing: to come up with the money to pay their income taxes.
Just awful.
Yeah. And now, due to the tax burden on the American people to support this behemoth government we have, two-parent working households is common. I mean, sadly, two-parent households are not that common anymore, but usually you have both of them working. And if it is not a two-parent household, you have the taxpayers stepping in with the money to take care of the other parent's contribution.
That's the reality for myself and for Tug, Neil. We're both two-parent households. Both of us have to work to make ends meet to take care of what the kids need. That's the way it goes.
Yeah. Sometime put a pencil to it and see what would happen if you were not paying income taxes.
Yeah, I think we'd be in a better situation.
If you got 100% of your paycheck.
Do I want to make myself throw up?
Like, I might cry.
If you got 100% of your paycheck every 2 weeks, would your wife have to work? No taxes.
No. Yeah, no
taxes.
Or let her work and I'll stay home.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's go.
Well, I mean, that could be the reality. Back to either a house husband or a housewife. That could be the reality. With the fair tax. But I can't.
Donald Trump needs to listen up. Look, I finally found something that I don't like that he's doing, and it's not listening to Neil about the fair tax. I finally found it.
Oh yeah, he's gonna call me up there tomorrow to brief him on it.
No, I didn't say I could move anything. I didn't say I have no authority whatsoever. Angela might have a better insight than any of us.
The only way I'm going to get to Mar-a-Lago is to go to Hannity's wedding.
There you go.
There you go. Well, at least you're gonna get invited, because ain't none of us, the rest of us ain't going.
I'm not so sure.
Oh well, come on, Sean loves you. You've been on the show.
He owes his damn career to me.
Yes, sir, he does. Neil Bortz, the talk master.
Actually, I owe mine to his, but I'm never going to tell you that story.
That's next week. It's a week out tease.
No.
It's a Paul Harvey of radio career talk.
That's right. And the rest of the story. Neil,
Okay.
thank you.
You treat this little waif nicely now.
I will.
Thank you, Neil.
See, welcome to the club. Now you've been called a name. That's when you know you've been accepted.
I'm all about it. I appreciate it.
And Angela and Los and I enjoy your company and love talking to you. Thank you, Neil.
Be good.
If you thought the Democrats had no future stars, boy, you were wrong. And they'll tell you all about it next.
The latest sports news, powered by 680 The Fan, and driven to extra listeners by RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs, Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
Here are your sports headlines for Wednesday, March 12th. Spring training continues for the Braves this afternoon, this time from Sarasota, as the Braves will visit the Baltimore Orioles. First pitch is set for 1:05. You can hear that game on our sister station's app. 680 The Fan. From the NFL, the Falcons have added a veteran pass rusher as former Georgia Bulldog Leonard Floyd has signed a one-year deal with the Falcons. Floyd has recorded at least 8.5 sacks in each of the last 5 seasons. And the Atlanta Hawks are back at State Farm Arena tonight as the Charlotte Hornets are in town. The Hawks now hold the 7th seed in the Eastern Conference playoffs with a record of 31-34. That tip-off is set for 7:30. With your sports headlines, I'm Carlos Medina.
For half a century, glyphosate has affordably and effectively protected Georgia farmers' crops from invasive weeds. Without it, the impact would be felt beyond the fields, hitting Americans where it hurts, our wallets. That's why the Modern Ag Alliance advocates for farmers' continued access to essential crop protection tools so food prices don't rise even more. Get the facts at controlweedsnotfarming.com. Paid for by the Modern Ag Alliance in support of Georgia farmers.
Hey, it's a Kimmer. You know, a great smile can make you more successful as well as make you happy. Yes, it's true. And your smile's waiting for you at my dentist, Dr. Dina Giesler, my friend for 30 years and dentist forever. This woman at Atlanta Smiles, atlantasmiles.com, the dentist with the doggy. It's really true, whether it's just regular cleaning or bridges or crowns or are your teeth bothering a little bit, maybe a little ache or something, or your gums it's not going to get better on its own. Take it from me, I found that out the hard way. Taking care of your teeth and gums, and everybody's happy. And by the way, you can relax with Dr. Dina. This is an individual, private VIP experience. So latest technology. She used AI to get my last thing done at my last visit. And don't forget the doggies, a little doggy to take a nap in your lap while you're getting your work done. And this staff, these ladies are angels, I promise you. You'll love going there. A veteran herself, Dr. Dina, 10% veterans discount off the top. Tell them when you call. 404-262-7733. Your smile's waiting. Get the doggy at atlantasmiles.com.
Hey there, I'm Tara, owner and publisher of Our Town Monthly, Cobb's favorite family lifestyle magazine. Partnering with our community and local businesses is what we love to do. Check out what's happening at the Avenue West Cobb.
Hey everyone, I'm Alondra. The Avenue West Cobb is just a short drive from Atlanta. Discover the dynamic mix of premium national brands like J. Jill and J. Crew, plus unique local realtors and delicious restaurants, including Lazia and Jim and Nick's. And don't forget our exciting events. Our bunny photos and our annual spring festival is just around the corner, and puppy fun at Paul's Fest is this summer. The Avenue is a vibrant destination with entertainment for the whole family. For the latest details, please visit us at theavenuewestcobb.com.
Sounds amazing. Friends, I'll see you at the Avenue West Cobb. Remember, our town is your town at Our Town Monthly.
Hi, my name is Steve from Marietta, and we hired ATL Turco to build our dream backyard golf setup. They installed a large 4-hole putting green, a sand bunker, a short game area, and did a full conversion to artificial grass around the pool with decorative retaining walls. ATL Turco was really creative. They were efficient. The installation was a breeze. Price was completely reasonable, and I definitely appreciated their communication throughout the project. I would definitely recommend ATL Turco to anybody thinking about doing a backyard makeover. You can check them out online right now at atlturco.com.
Securing America.
It sounds like something out of an action movie, altering a soldier to make them faster, stronger, and more resilient. But there's a project working on doing just that. It's called the Defense Advanced Research Project Agency's Red Blood Cell Factory Program. They're working on a medical device that would put a biologically active component into someone's red blood cells, which would hopefully help a soldier overcome an injury or illness in the field and help them to operate in harsh environments. They started the 21-month program last year in which researchers researchers will also take into account the ethical, legal, and societal implications. The program's managers saying that the current state of the art to maintain and protect warfighters operating in extreme environments or facing potential threats requires administration of pre-exposure prophylaxis or post-exposure medical countermeasures, hoping to deliver a knowledge product and a medical device prototype. Jeff Manosso, Fox News.
The president said it himself.
America is back.
And Extra 106.3 continues on as the only conservative news and talk station in Atlanta. The news changes by the day, and you can count on Extra 106.3 to bring it to you straight every day without the spin. Extra 106.3 FM and the Extra app.
Tug and Los until 10 on the Morning Extra. I like to call it Laugh with Your Decaf because it's early. People are getting their first cup of coffee. And this one will make you laugh. It's Brittany Patterson. She is a U.S. representative, and she says... Brittany? What was it? Brittany. Yeah. Are all Brittany's crazy? Now, you know what? I can't say that. My sweet cousin Brittany listens to this show every morning, and she'll probably send me a ugly text or something.
Yeah, you're going to get something if you were to call all Brittany's crazy.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, it's not like cousin Brittany is wielding knives.
No,
like Brittany.
No, not. See, that's the thing.
The head Brittany has made it tough for everybody.
The head Brittany. I like the way you said that. That's exactly right. The head Brittany. Britney Spears, the one that's just absolutely insane. There was a reason she had a conservatorship, and I remember people arguing with me about it. Well, she doesn't. They shouldn't be doing that to her. And I'm like, there's a reason.
They might know better.
This is a sad story, but my mama had to get a bit of a conservatorship over her sister. Just had all kinds of issues, and now my aunt is in a facility and doing well, but that's because they can help her, and it's it's just a better situation. It was awful, and it took years to get done, and it was so challenging and so complicated and so hard for my mama to do this. This is something that she had to do to her sister. It was hard to do. It was gut-wrenching. I remember it, but I remember how long it took and how many hoops that she had to jump through. That's when I knew that this is not like, it wasn't like somebody was like, hey, yeah, just lock her up. Take her running.
Can I get a conservatorship over your cousin Brittany?
I don't know if she needs one. Does she need one?
Well, I don't know. You can ask her.
Yeah, I'll ask. I think she'll be.
I just want to be in charge of her finances and what she's listening to and what she's doing.
That's right. We can help her. I think she's doing good because she listens to us every morning. So I think she's got to figure it out.
She's doing good.
Yeah, she's doing it. But Brittany Patterson, the U.S. representative, she wants you to know that the Dems, man, they're in good shape. They've got such a deep bench, and man, they have got stars.
We have a deep bench of talented leaders who care deeply about this country, who represent the vast majority of American values.
Okay, if you have that deep bench, as you say, where are they?
Let's start with the top of it.
That's right.
Who?
Yeah, can you give me one name? We have a deep bench. Okay, who? Crickets.
They were so authoritarian during COVID that even their future stars, because remember, this was a group that when it came down to Joe Biden and they decided, let's clear the decks because no one's going to beat Donald Trump. This is well before Zuckerbucks or drop boxes or anything else. They were like, we don't want Mayor Pete to take this beating, and we don't want Amy Klobuchar to take this beating. So we're going to clear the decks and we're going to leave it to Joe. All right. Then what happens from there? Your next round of stars, your Gretchen Whitmers and your Gavin Newsoms were so authoritarian that they made long-term damage to their careers. So tell me who the next star is. Tell me who the one that you go, wow, okay, untarnished, this looks good.
That's exactly right. The answer is nobody can tell you, and neither can she. That's the reason she didn't bring up a name. If you go through the Republican Party, I mean, there's so many names you could pull. I mean, starting with J.D. Vance, the VP, who's going to be the leading candidate in the next presidential cycle. And then it just cascades from there. There's so many people that the Republicans could depend on. You got one of them that's going to run for governor, and Vivek Ramaswamy, a huge star in conservative circles. And a guy that has great polling numbers. People love to hear from him. He's a family man. He's a faithful man. He's a well-thought-out man, a well-educated man. But he doesn't let his education get in the way of his common sense. He still speaks from a common sense perspective. They want you to think, the Democrats want you to think that they have this group of rising stars, but nobody can name them. I'm looking at an article from USA Today talking about the rising stars, and I don't see any. Like a whole article with no examples.
So I'm taking a look at this from Ballotpedia, and it just lists out the possible options for 2028. And I would tell you that 90% of these I can just look at and say, there's no chance. Like Cory Booker, so corrupt, there's no chance,
Not
no
at all.
opportunity. Pete Buttigieg, all right, already failed at what he was doing.
Yeah, he couldn't even fill a pothole.
Roy Cooper, former governor of North Carolina. All right, maybe we might have a discussion there.
I don't know. No, I don't know about that.
Kamala Harris, all right, already took that beating. Chris Murphy, totally full of it. Phil Murphy, completely full of it. Gavin Newsom, oh, Lord.
Double down full of it.
AOC, good luck with that. J.B. Pritzker, way too fat. Josh Shapiro, way too Jewish. Tim Walz, double hand wave.
Yeah.
Raphael Warnock, not a chance. You're not even going to hold on to your Senate seat the next time around. Gretchen Whitmer, okay.
Yeah.
This is their list.
But that's the point. That there's a reason this USA Today article has who are the Democrat stars, and it's just the ones that Los mentioned, the ones that we know have no chance whatsoever of making a wave, not a ripple. There's not a chance. And then you talk about Gavin Newsom. That's the only one that I think is even a possibility. And as we discussed yesterday, he's trying to center his message, which is going to push him out of the Democrat Party, Los.
Yeah, you'll never get through a primary.
That's why I'm convinced they have to.
This primary of crazy people.
That's why I'm convinced they have to have a different party. They have to create they have to either A, leave, or B, kick out the crazies. You ain't kicking out the crazies, so you're going to have to start your own party. That's what the dude, John Morgan, the big Democrat donor, has said. I got to start a new party. Because he knows the same things that we're saying.
If I was running for, let's say, President of the United States on the Republican side, and I wanted to basically pull the parachute, it's like, I'm done with this. I would sit on a debate stage and I would say, I'm for big government and lots of taxes and spending. That's what I would say, and at that point, it's over.
You're done.
All right, that's what I would say. Or I would say, I think we should have abortions available on every street corner. Okay,
Out.
we're
You're
out.
done.
All right. So those are two extremes where I know that I would no way get through a primary. Gavin Newsom already did that by saying there's two sexes and that men participating in women's sports is unfair.
Yeah, he's out. He's got no shot. He's got no chance. Tell me which Democrat's going to vote for him. The ones that you see on TV at night, the ones that you see on social media that are telling you every day these crazy, outlandish things. Don't follow the science. Don't believe biology. Those are the people that you've got to convince. And they're not going to listen to you. There's not a chance. So when you see them blowing up, imagine saying the thing that Los just said, because Gavin Newsom said that, and him getting by those people.
You went completely against the church of their religion.
Yeah, the government church.
You said one of the things you cannot say, just as if I was looking to land the Republican nomination and, okay, how do I get out of this? I'll just say one of these lines and it is over with. That is exactly what Gavin Newsom did. Good luck with him ever getting beyond a primary.
That's the star. That's the one star, if you could call it a star.
Well, and I think that of the names that I read, the only one that I say, okay, has an opportunity to get through this stuff is Gretchen Whitmer, in part because she was so crazy COVID fanatic of a person.
They'll relate to that.
They'll be like, yes, sister. And it's still the party of the 25-year-old white liberal woman and her cats and all her craziness. And they'll be like, yeah, third time's a charm. They shouldn't be running a woman for 50 years.
But on top of that, put her up against
50 years.
Put her up against J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance dismantles her. It's not even a competition. J.D. Vance would do that for sport. It would be like, let me do this one just to prep.
I didn't put it on our show notes, but Redhead Libertarian ended up putting out something. Have you seen the video of the relationship between men and women, like the Real Talk one, where it's
I don't think so.
Every time that you seek some sort of equality, then all that happens is women get mad because men are now their equals, and then they don't want anything to do with them.
It makes sense. I know what I'm going to search during the Fox News break.
I'll show it to you.
All right.
But this always goes back to that party continues to think to themselves, well, no, this is the new Joan of Arc. This is the new bride. Kamala Harris couldn't answer a question, and that's who they thought was going to be a good. She couldn't answer one question.
They installed her, too, because they knew that she couldn't answer a question. They thought they could get her through like they got Biden through.
I mean, Gretchen Whitmer ended election season by pissing off all the Catholics. And you think this is a good idea in the Rust Belt?
6 o'clock hours brought to you by Subaru of Gwinnett. When we continue, I'm a natural optimist. Like most Americans, I'm hopeful that Trump's plan is going to work. But the AP, not so much.
The legend Neil Bortz is only on Extra 106.3. Hey, it's the Kimmer. How's it going? Here's what you missed from the Talkmaster.
I want to know why. We have an idea for a tax plan. $50 million spent developing this tax plan. $50 million to get rid of the IRS, to get rid of the income tax, to get rid of virtually all taxes and fuel this country on a consumption tax with everybody getting 100% of their paycheck, prices remaining the same. It's a beautiful plan. And back in my lawyer days, I actually worked with Donald Trump on some issues. And I talked to him just a couple of weeks before the election. Try as hard as I might, I can't even get him to say the words fair tax. Why can't it get some of his attention with $50 million of research behind it?
Catch Neil's commentary every day on Extra 106.3 or listen anytime on the Extra 106.3 app.
Its intelligent technology is intuitive. Its responsive performance, responsible. Turbo power with a hybrid assist, a digital yet sensual cockpit, and sporty elegance helps make the C-Class a driver's delight and paradise for passengers. Get an exceptional offer on the 2025 Mercedes-Benz C300 sedan for just $469 per month for 39 months with $46.63 due at signing exclusively from RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs. Contact RBM of Atlanta for details on this vehicle and many other models during the RBM of Atlanta's spring sales event. Visit today to see how to qualify. We'd love to welcome you to the RBM of Atlanta family. Special lease rate available only to qualified customers exclusively from Mercedes-Benz Financial Service through RBM of Atlanta, Sandy Springs through March 31st, 2025. Excludes tax, tag, title, and Georgia Lemon Law fees. Contact RBM of Atlanta for details on this and other exciting offers. Visit us at rbmofatlanta.com or call us at 770-390-0700 for details.
We all need routines that bring us calm in this chaotic world. For millions of Americans, arming their Simply Safe home security system is more than just a step in their daily routine. It's a moment of peace. It's a moment that satisfies the responsibility that we all have, especially as men, to protect our families. With Simply Safe, confidence is just a button press away. It's more than home security. It's the freedom to focus on what matters most. Simply Safe pairs cutting-edge technology with 24/7 professional monitoring to deliver that peace of mind every day. They have award-winning systems that include groundbreaking features like Active Guard, outdoor protection, where live monitoring agents use AI-powered cameras to spot and engage threats. Right now, Simply Safe is offering 50% off their new system with professional monitoring. Their 60-day risk-free trial means you can experience how Simply Safe fits into your life worry-free. So visit simplysafe.com/Beck. Claim 50% off the new system with professional monitoring plan and get your first month free. Simplysafe.com/Beck. There is no safe like Simply Safe.
This is House Call for Health. A study finds 40% of kids have their own tablet by age 2 and use a screen for more than an hour a day. Dr. Judith Joseph is a board-certified psychiatrist and researcher, recently joining Fox and Friends to discuss this.
We recommend that under the age of 18 months, there should be no screen time. You should be playing with your child, stimulating their senses. And then between the ages of 2 to 5 years old, high-quality screen time. This is learning programs, music programs, and learn alongside them so they're getting that, interpersonal connection with you. Right. But it's also recommended that until a child has finished the 8th grade, so that's 13 years old. Keep them off of socials. Keep them off of the digital technology because it's so habit-forming.
Dr. Joseph noting that her own 8-year-old daughter would become irritable when her tablet is taken away, and that parents should be an example to their kids and not always be on their phones. For more health news, go to foxnewshealth.com. House Call for Health. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News.
WFOM and W292 EV Marietta, a Dickey broadcasting station. This hour is presented by Van Sant Law, vansantlaw.com.
I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. To the new U.S. tariffs on all steel and aluminum imports that went into effect this morning.
$26 billion worth of U.S. goods will be affected by the tariffs announced in Brussels today. They're being imposed on imports of products ranging from boats to bourbon to motorbikes. Strong but proportionate, says European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen. She admits they're bad for business, but European leaders feel they have to respond.
That's Fox's Jonathan Savage. Now, the president had threatened to double the steel and aluminum tariffs on Canada as punishment for a charge on electricity being sent to the U.S., but he backed down when that charge was canceled. The president insists tariffs will make the U.S. money and bring manufacturing back.
Other countries have taken away our business. They've taken away our jobs.
Now, tariff fears have been hurting the economy, and that led to a big stock market sell-off. The Dow has plunged 2,500 points so far this month. The House has passed a bill to provide government funding to prevent a shutdown by Friday's deadline. House Speaker Mike Johnson says
it falls on the desk of Chuck Schumer. He is the leader of the Democrats on that side, and he must determine whether he wants to fund the government, do the responsible thing, or whether he wants to shut the government down.
Now, Republicans will need support from some Senate Democrats to pass the bill that House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries opposes, hoping the Senate version gets rid of proposed cuts to some programs.
The strong House Democratic vote in opposition to this reckless Republican spending bill speaks for itself.
Now, in Ukraine, the U.S. has resumed military aid and intelligence sharing after that country agreed to a 30-day ceasefire. President Trump says,
now we have to go to Russia and hopefully President Putin will agree to that also.
Well, the U.S. had talks in Saudi Arabia also last month with the Russians. America's listening to Fox News.
Meet Kelsey. When she found out she was pregnant, she wasn't sure where to turn. But after meeting with the counselors at a preborn network clinic who loved and supported her, and after hearing her baby's heartbeat on a free ultrasound, she chose life.
When a mother looks at her child through a sonogram, it does something to you. You know, I ended up deciding to keep my son, who is now 5 years old today. He's amazing. He brings absolute joy to my heart. I could not imagine life without him.
By introducing a woman to her baby on ultrasound, a baby's chance at life doubles. If you have the means, would you consider a leadership gift to save babies in a big way? Your tax-deductible donation of $5,000 will sponsor Preborn's entire network for 24 hours, helping rescue 200 babies. To donate, dial pound 250, keyword baby. You can be able to say, I helped save a life through Preborn. Dial pound 250, keyword baby, or go to preborn.com/hope. Sponsored by Preborn.
For hourly Fox News updates and the best in conservative news and talk, keep it on Extra 106.3 or download the Extra 106.3 app.
Tug and Los until 10 on Extra 106.3. Glad that you're here. 404-741-1230 at Extra 106.3 across the social media platforms. It's my understanding the U.S. Department of Education is closed today.
Oh, that's too bad.
And they're firing half the staff.
They were told to vacate the building by 6 p.m. yesterday.
That's right. And half the staff will be released from their duties, all in a effort by Donald Trump to shutter the Department of Education, which has been just an abject failure since it began.
Well, Randy Weingarten, the fake John Denver, she was very upset on MSNBC saying that we're denying education to people.
Right. And Carolyn Lev is like, no, we're not denying education to anyone. And Linda McMahon backed that up, said the same thing. No, we're just going to send it to the states where they can do a better job. We're going to continue to fund these states as they, as they take over the education of the children that live there. We're still going to do all the things that we did. We're just going to fund it from the state level, or to the state level, rather, which makes a lot more sense to me because I feel like the state of Georgia would do a better job. Now, are they going to be perfect? No. Are we going to have to make sure that they're doing the right thing? Yes. Anybody with power deserves scrutiny. And I think that has to be the way that we continue this. But I do believe getting rid of the Department of Education is the first step in making America great, because our education system is completely broken.
Because it was yesterday evening, I don't think the left has really adjusted to this. And when they wake up at about 10 o'clock today, that's when you're going to see a lot of the anger that's going to start.
Yeah, don't look for it too early.
When they have Wake Up America, and that's a show that starts at 11 o'clock.
Yeah, that's right. So just be ready. Somewhere around time noon.
Shouldn't Good Morning Atlanta really start at like 11:30?
Yeah, probably so. Because that's when that peg is watching, that's when...
that's when they finally get up and around to being productive.
Which is crazy. Maybe that's why Morning Joe's viewership is so low, because those people don't get up early enough to watch it.
It's too early.
Yeah, it's too early. It's too early. We ain't had time for this.
Look at all these horrible looking faces on
angry.
MSNBC.
So what you don't know about us is we keep MSNBC on in the studio, Morning Joe, and right now they're doing a panel, and it was a six-part
panel, and they're all miserable looking.
Everybody has the scowl. There's not a smile to be found. Well, maybe that makes sense though. What do they have to smile about? They're losing.
Nothing.
And they're wrong continually.
The wild part for me is that they're actually talking about something that's good, and that there's pressure now on Vladimir Putin to accept the ceasefire, and that we're going to have peace in Ukraine, and yet they all have this look of, well, peace in Ukraine doesn't help us.
That's right.
Now we got to deal with this.
We're going to lose money.
Donald Trump's going to get another victory, and that's bad for us.
That's right. Well, look, everything's bad for y'all, because every time you open your mouth, it's bad for y'all. So maybe you should just sit back and listen more, talk less. So I used to tell my kid, Los, it wouldn't matter if he was at home or he was at school or he was at church, wherever he was. I would be like, dude, listen more, talk less. That's the golden rule at our house, to do that. Because if you're listening, then you're interpreting, you're understanding the lay of the land, and then you can formulate your own opinion, what you feel about what's being said, in favor of it or against it. Listen more, talk less. I think that's the way to go.
I'm a big fan of telling the women in my house the same thing.
You got 3 of them.
Listen more, talk less. You'll have a deeper understanding what's really going on around here.
That's right. I love it. Carolyn Levitt, she kind of said that same thing, listen more, talk less, with the folks at the AP, because she, was talking about how hopeful we are of Trump's vision for America, and I believe that he's going to accomplish his goal. Is it going to be without bumps? No, nothing is. Nothing worth having is going to come to you without you working for it, without it being a bit of a struggle, without there being an uphill climb. It's not going to be handed to you. And the folks there at the AP, they thought they had cornered Carolyn Levitt up on the economy. Boy, were they wrong.
I'm sorry, have you ever paid a tariff? Because I have. They don't get charged on foreign companies. They get charged on the importers.
And ultimately, when we have fair and balanced trade, which the American people have not seen in decades, revenues will stay here, wages will go up, and our country will be made wealthy again. And I think it's insulting that you're trying to test my knowledge of economics and the decisions that this president has made. I'm now regret giving a question to the Associated Press.
Bam! Dude, it's almost like when you get onto your kid, when they pop off something and you've had it up to here and you have to put them in their place for a little bit. You have to lay down the law, if you will. That's kind of what she was doing.
The other part. So this particular reporter had the Rachel Maddow glasses. And as he's talking about how he's having to pay tariffs, he has to put the hand over his
he's clutching the pearls.
And I have to pay tariffs. It's like, do you realize how less of a man that you actually are? Do you realize you are like the epitome of everything we're making fun of? That you are the teacher's lounge. It's if somebody could mold what would look like the teacher's lounge out of clay and bring it to life, that would be this reporter. And so Carolyn Levitt just kind of glanced over like, I'm so sad that I called you.
Isn't it funny that
I'm the one who pays tariffs. I'm the one who does it.
She is more of a man than the dude that was asking the question. Because she's a badass. And that's the thing I love about her the most, is that she slaps that dude down and she says at the end, you are the reason I'm sorry I even give the AP a question. You're that disappointing.
When he goes home to watch a replay of The View, he's going to tell his husband, I can't believe she said that to me. I was making a point about paying tariffs.
That's right. And it's funny.
Take of it what you will.
Yeah.
I ain't lying about it. Go look at the video.
Yeah.
Go watch the pictures.
Yeah,
You'll be like, Los basically nailed that one.
Clutching his pearls. No, but the media continues to try to make this a thing, and it's not. I was reading an article in Reuters, and it basically said that a bunch of the companies in Wisconsin that they were talking to about tariffs, they're like, yeah, we've been preparing. Trump campaigned on it. We knew they were coming, so we've been preparing for this. Arian's company, they make I think snowblowers and that sort of stuff. And for them, they were like, here's the quote. He campaigned on tariffs. This is the president and chief operating officer. His name is Nicholas Arians. Family-owned manufacturer. Brillion, Wisconsin is where he's from. We've been preparing since the election for this. So for the AP to clutch his pearls and tell you how many tariffs he's paid, which I have no idea if that's even true. Maybe it is. The way they lie.
It's not.
The way they lie in the mainstream media, it would be surprising if it was. But that's the thing. A company in Wisconsin, Reuters talked to, ready for it, understands it, no problem.
By the way, this is a Princeton grad with a degree in journalism and then a Columbia University master's degree in journalism.
Isn't it funny that
he's a finance reporter? There's no part in his history where anything has to do with business or running business or studying business.
Isn't it crazy that used to be a badge of honor, Columbia University?
I'm telling you, I think about this all the time when it comes to my daughters. Like, I would love the idea of, because they're athletes, they would have a leg up on everybody with a Ivy League education.
Sure.
Yet, you recognize you're basically sending them off to be indoctrinated into communism.
Yeah.
So you have to make these decisions.
I know two kids that are in Ivy League schools right now, and both of them are fine young men. Both of them my son played ball with over the years. And I wonder where they're going to end up, how they're going to end up. Are they going to be able to be the same kids that I knew and keep the same mindset that I knew them with? Or when they come out of there, are they going to be completely different, completely programmed different? So, Los, your statement is not far off base. I think about that with those kids, and they're not even mine.
Yeah, why do I want to pay to send my daughter to Harvard so that she comes home every Christmas to hate me?
Yeah, I don't want to pay for that.
Exactly.
I don't. And it makes me sad.
I sent you to Cornell so you could come home and be like, you and your friend Tug are devils.
And you're communists, and you're capitalists, which is
capitalist pigs.
Yeah, something we want to destroy and get rid of. Something that we don't believe in. We believe in socialism and communism, and that's what our professors have told us about. And you don't know the wonders. If it were just implemented the correct way,
if you just let us do it this time,
we would get it right. That's the bull crap that we have to put up with. That's why, look, my son was never going to be an Ivy League student. I mean, he smart kid for sure. I mean, he's 3.95, I think, grade point average, even through his first 2 years of college. He's a smart kid. He's not Ivy League material, but I think that is actually a good thing because he's going to be able to think for himself. He's going to see, there's things that I know and want to know and things that I want to learn and get better at, but he's not going to forfeit his common sense because of it.
You're having to sacrifice something at the altar.
Yeah.
When you send your kid off and you let them, you hope that you've done a good enough job that whatever you get back actually builds on what you did. But I don't know. It's pretty strong.
And there's a reason there's only one or two people like J.D. Vance who's been through that and come out normal.
One of the things that I was really proud of my oldest daughter, so we started asking her about the university she was interested in. And there were a handful that were religious based. I was like, okay, it's kind of interesting because I don't believe, like for instance, if you go to Liberty University, you're not going to be dealing with a whole lot of communism there.
Zero.
Just be very honest about what's going to happen at Liberty University.
I have a friend of a friend who's on the board of directors or whatever that is. I don't know what the board is called, but yes, I would go 0% communism at Liberty.
Dartmouth, I'm not sure. Liberty, I'm pretty sure.
I would even say positive.
So the fact that she's kind of interested in a handful of these,
Liberty's great.
These universities.
Have you seen the campus?
Oh my God, they've got, first off, They have more money than anyone else in the country.
So much so.
Yes.
There's two. Listen to this story.
It's like SMU and Liberty.
I just learned this story this weekend. Because, again, my son's playing college ball, and now he's transferred from Charleston to a JUCO, so it's, okay, where do we go next? You know, you got another year, you could play JUCO ball, or do you want to try to find the next stop that you stay permanently, or do you go back to Charleston, whatever it is. I was talking to one of the dads who is from Lynchburg. He said Liberty University is rolling in so much dough that there's two smaller colleges around them. Liberty is building this illustrious campus. Their athletic facilities are the most impressive that you've ever seen.
Their top-end D1 facilities.
It's unbelievable. He said those two schools that are near them weren't growing nearly as fast, and it almost made their schools look so bad that Liberty gave them each a $1 million grant to not be paid back. Here, we want to give you this. That way you can bring your standards up, too. That's what Liberty University's doing.
Their endowment is nearly $2 billion.
I mean, that's Ivy League levels.
As I have pointed this out when it came to Liberty and when it also comes to SMU. SMU it's different. SMU is a whole lot of oil money. Liberty is a whole lot of religious money. Either way, you can take their endowments, and they are more than the University of Georgia and the University of Alabama put together.
Let that sink in for a minute.
University of Georgia, University of Alabama, add their endowments together, and it's not the same. It's less than SMU or Liberty University.
Goodness gracious.
Swimming in money.
More money than anybody else.
No wonder you hand out $1 million. You say, hey, go clean yourself up.
I'm trying to look for the other two schools in Lynchburg that they donated to or gave this grant to.
It's Radcliffe.
Yeah, right. I don't remember what it is, and I don't know the area well enough. But to make that kind of donation just to say, hey, we want to help you because we're doing so well, we want to spread the wealth around, if you will. I guess that's the way they put it. Here's $1 million to each of you so you can improve your situations and
go buy yourself something nice.
Exactly.
But I don't believe that they put it that way. Yes,
and then they finished off by saying, go get your effing shine box.
Yeah. But that's the thing, man. You know when your kids come home from Liberty. Look, I would love for my son to be able to go compete at Liberty. Their baseball teams are really good.
Yeah.
Well, you talk about these Ivy League schools and how these kids come out of there completely changed, and it happens across the university system in this whole country.
It does. No, you're right.
Aren't the main complaints from employers these days about those kind of indoctrinations? And this is why, if I look at somebody who's 18, 19 years old and they're thinking about college, but they don't know what they want to do. They don't want to be a lawyer or a doctor or something like that. Go to a trade school, man.
Yeah.
Go to a trade school.
Mike Rowe, he's got a whole, the Rowe Works, Mike Rowe Works, his whole foundation is just what Jerry's talking about. Giving kids an opportunity to get a scholarship to go do trade work that needs to be done in the United States, and we need to replenish and rebuild that whole facility, that whole work category.
So is it your nephew?
Yeah. No, it's my cousin.
Your cousin.
So he's much younger because my uncle remarried and they had. So he's the same age. My cousin is the same age as my son. Went to lineman school, decided not to go to college, had been accepted to a bunch. He has the money to buy a house, but cannot buy a house because he's got so much work. He's always traveling as a lineman. Kid is just bought a brand new truck. Not that that's ever a good idea, but he's got so much money, it doesn't matter, and he's not spending any of it because he's always at work.
He is a 6-figure income earner.
At 23 years old.
In his early 20s, based on the fact that he is working in a trade environment and the amount of work that he has to do. Part of what Jerry is bringing up is that you have these children, these young people that get out of these universities and they think it's supposed to be 6 figures right now, and it's not. And so they're looking around and be like, well, what happened? Well, that person who learned to trade at 18, 19, that by the time they're 23, they're making the money you expected to make.
Exactly
now,
right.
You're going to look at them and be like, seriously?
Well, they're getting their hands real dirty.
You're welding?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
Yes, I am.
Making things happen.
That's right.
And so, yeah, there's always this balancing act because I don't want either one of my daughters to be underwater welders, but at the same time, man, that's a pretty good gig if you can get it.
Dude, it is a great gig. And think about this. Specifically welding, because I'm glad you brought that one up. Think about the shipbuilding that Trump wants to bring back. That's going to be a big part of his focus for manufacturing, not only for the United States Navy and our military, but also commercial shipbuilding. What do you need to put together a ship? Whole lots of welders, underwater and otherwise. Man, that field is about to have an explosion like you've never seen before. They're going to be kids dropping out of school to go learn welding just to be able to land one of those jobs, Los. Just like you're talking about.
It's good work if you can get it.
And there's plenty of it out there and about to be more.
That's right.
Because it is going to replenish the manufacturing base that made America great to begin with. We're getting back there.
Meanwhile, Josh Boak is like, I can't believe that Carolyn Levitt said that to me.
You're going to go home and cry.
She's so mean.
She doesn't even look mean, but she is. Morning Extra on Extra 106.3. If a protest have fights and fires, how would you describe it? Because CNN thinks differently than you and I do. Next on the Morning Extra at Extra 106.3.
Hey, it's Flounder, and The Kimmer Show is live every afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m.
I hope people realize what a breath of freshness and sunshine into a formerly dark place Donald Trump has brought to America. He's done more things and talked to more people and answered more questions than that slimebag crime family pervert did in the last 4 years.
The Kimmer Show, every afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m. on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app.
Experience luxury like never before behind the wheel of a brand new Cadillac from Jim Ellis Cadillac.
From the iconic Escalade to the innovative electric Lyriq, Jim Ellis Cadillac offers the models you know and love, along with the latest in luxury EVs.
And the buying experience just as luxurious as the Cadillac name itself. With great prices, a great selection, and a team of knowledgeable sales associates, you'll love shopping at their showroom conveniently located on Peachtree Boulevard, just inside the perimeter.
Prefer to shop from home? Visit JimEllisCadillac.com, where you can browse all the latest offers and even start or complete your entire purchase online with the Jim Ellis Expressway.
Want to try before you buy? Schedule an at-home test drive and enjoy the convenience of home vehicle delivery. Luxury is waiting. Experience it today at Jim Ellis Cadillac. Jim Ellis Cadillac, where you can always expect the best.
I enjoy a good night's sleep, and I like to breathe while I'm sleeping. My wife appreciates that, too. That's why I wear a CPAP. You want the right machine. You want expert advice. You want all the supplies that go with it. You get it all at CPAPs, etc. in Alpharetta. Machines, masks, tubing, filters, cleaning supplies, all of it, and they ship nationwide. Walk-ins, by the way, are welcome. CPAPs, etc. Alpharetta, CPAPSETC.com.
Are you tired of dealing with drafty, inefficient windows? Do you have certain rooms in the house that you can't keep cool in the summer or warm in the winter? Hi, I'm Dan Watkins with All Four Seasons Garage Entry Doors and Windows. It's time to upgrade these old windows. Replace them with double-pane, beautiful, energy-efficient windows. Your new windows will help you regulate a perfect temperature throughout your house. Start saving big money on your energy bills and improve the curb appeal of your home. Give us a call today at 770-517-7078.
Hey, it's a Kimmer. Okay, you're driving along. Suddenly you hear that horrible sound of metal and crunching. It's an accident. Even if it's a little minor fender bender, man, that could be a nightmare. First, obviously, take care of yourself. But before you make a deal with an insurance company or anybody else, call David Van Sant with Van Sant Law. You know why? Because he used to work for the insurance company, so he knows how to get the right settlement and right away. Van Sant Law. Don't forget, if you don't get paid, they don't get paid. Protecting your interests. Insurance is great, but it's complicated. 855-GA-INJURY or vansantlaw.com.
You know the old expression, I love it when a plan comes together? Well, with our First Liberty Notes, this has been so true. Hello, I'm Brant Frost, founder of First Liberty Building and Loan. You hear about our family's company all the time right here on the station. For over 30 years, we've been the local lender who said yes when the big banks say no. A couple of months ago, we opened up our First Liberty Notes program to Main Street investors just like you, and the response has been just incredible. Folks from airline pilots to physicians to even pastors are now earning 8 to 13% interest rates while helping to fuel the growth growth of local small businesses. If you're a qualified investor with a minimum of $25,000, you too could be earning 8 to 13% interest. We'd love to have you join our First Liberty family today. Go to FirstLibertyGA.com and see if our First Liberty notes are right for you. Go to FirstLibertyGA.com. That's FirstLibertyGA.com.
First Liberty notes are not obligations of or guaranteed by any financial institution and are not secured by any collateral. They are not FDIC insured or guaranteed by any government agency. You could lose money. SEC accredited investor status must be verified. Securities not offered in any jurisdiction in which it is unlawful.
Hey, Georgia neighbors, it's time to expect more from your Medicare Advantage. Discover Sonder Health's custom plans tailored just for Georgians. Saunders offers unique benefits, including special plans for those living with chronic conditions. Some plans even come with grocery or gas benefits to support your overall well-being. Sonder Health makes it easy to get the coverage you need. See for yourself what today's Medicare Advantage can do for you. Visit SonderHealthPlans.com, a healthier state of life. Sonder Health Plans is an HMO and PPO with Medicare contracts. Enrollment in Sonder Health Plans depends on contract renewal.
Attention, Atlanta. It's the biggest truckload safe sale of the year at the Safe Market and Liberty Safes of Atlanta. And it's happening for 3 days only. We're unloading American-made safes at up to 40% off. Gun safes, home security safes. With 3 convenient locations, there's never been a better time to buy. Hurry, because when the truck's empty, the deals are gone. Shop online or come to one of our 3 stores for even better savings. Thursday, March 20th through Saturday, March 22nd only. Call 770-242-0055 or visit thesafemarket.com now.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
Here are your headlines for Wednesday, March 12th. The Georgia House passed the budget for fiscal year 2026. Major items include public safety, infrastructure costs for future sports events, and education. The $37.7 billion budget includes $1.5 billion in new spending. It now goes to the Senate for review. The Georgia Senate passed 2 bills imposing stricter laws on the sale of hemp-based products. If passed into law, those bills would ban THC-infused drinks and other products currently sold in Georgia. Atlanta Mayor Andre Dickens launched his re-election campaign Tuesday. So far, no challengers have announced their intentions to run against him in November. Today's weather, sunny skies with a high of 77 degrees. Showers are expected tomorrow afternoon with a possibility of severe storms this weekend. With your headlines, I'm Jerry Payne.
7 o'clock hour is brought to you by Van Sant Law Group. If you're in an accident, make the right call. VanSantLaw.com. Tug and Los until 10, 404-741-1230 at Extra 1063 across the social media platforms. Love to interact with you. Love to communicate with you there, either on the phone or virtually there on social media. I want to play you a piece of audio, and I want you to tell me what you think about this when this protest. Do you not have it? Okay. There was a person on CNN. They were describing. Oh, you got. Okay, here we go. Listen to this.
To Tigard now, where police say someone shot at a Tesla dealership overnight. At least 3 cars were hit and windows were broken. One bullet even went through an office wall and hit a computer.
So, bullets
okay.
went through office wall,
shooting bullets,
hit a computer. So, what would you describe that as?
I would suggest that's violent if you're willing to fire a firearm.
I would think so too. Yeah,
to make your point.
But let me tell you how CNN described it. In their headline, it says Tesla faces vandalism and protest amid backlash against Elon Musk. In the opening line of the article, it is, though the protests have been peaceful. Wait, what? You just told me in your report, bullet went through window, hit computer at Elon Musk owned Tesla. And then you want to start the article by misleading people and saying, oh, it's a mostly peaceful protest. Where have I heard that before, that mostly peaceful protest?
I think it was like summer of 2020, if I remember correctly.
Yes! That's the one I'd forgotten about.
Well, we're only burning buildings down and actually people are really dying.
Mostly peaceful.
But mostly peaceful protest.
But that's the thing that they still don't get. CNN don't get it. MSNBC don't get it. The mainstream media don't get it. That nobody listens to them because they outright lie to you every time they open their stinking mouth.
They're playing by an outdated playbook. And right now they don't have the imagination to figure out what the next iteration of what they're doing should be. If you want to be very honest about this stuff, you can say that there's such outrage that people are going at Tesla dealerships and they're showing their frustration with the system because the Democrats are currently out of power. That would be actually telling the story. Instead, it's peaceful protest over Doge cuts that are looked at as unfair. No, it's not. They're not peaceful. Tell me how trying to light places on fire is a peaceful protest. Tell me about how you tried to, in the interest of power and only power, you tried to mandate EVs, and when you didn't get your way, you decided to burn them.
Yeah. And if you don't burn the actual cars or you don't shoot through the windows of the dealership, you set their charging stations on fire. It's funny that the people that loved Tesla and loved EVs and said they were going to change the world, they're going to make the world a better place to live, they're going to make it cleaner, they're going to make the air better, EV is the way to go. And all of a sudden, now that the man that owns it, that operates it, that started it, is on a different team, you're willing to set them on fire. Do you know what those batteries are made of and how much it is, how hard it is? Remember when we were over at the fire department and they told us about putting out EV fires, and they said it was twice or three times as long to put out an EV fire than it was a regular car?
They have to retrain based on what the vehicle fire is. If it's an EV, it requires a different level of commitment to actually get that thing out.
And it can melt the asphalt.
Yes.
Physically melt the asphalt. The fire burns so... We learned that from a Smyrna fire chief when we were at his firehouse just doing a breakfast for the fire department here in town. We did those a couple years back, and we went from fire station to fire station, and every time
they talked about EV fires.
We heard stories like this every time. They're like, yeah, EVs are cool, but man, you don't want to have to fight a fire with one. It is next level.
But this is not about enhancing the environment,
of course,
or protecting the environment.
That was always the guys.
It was always about power. It was always about mandating influence. That's all it ever was. So if they can get you to, like in the state of California, hey, we're not going to have any regular combustion engines by 2035. It's all going to be EV. It was never about the environment. It was about compliance. It was, if we can get you to do this, there's plenty of other things we can get you to do. And so when we then have this situation where the guy who was developing the most popular brand of EVs on the planet, well, now that he plays for Team Trump, well, now we got to burn down them EVs.
Yeah. Hey, can you imagine what kind of damage that does to the environment? Burning an EV.
They never cared.
Right.
Ever.
But
it was never about that.
But it should illustrate that to you. If you ever thought that it was about the environment, and you shouldn't have, because you drill for oil, they say you don't want to do that. You mine for the minerals. It's the same thing.
Never mattered to them. In fact, all it was just to show about how much you cared. Like, I'm curious if we're going to get to a point, because my brother-in-law was like a very early adopter of Tesla and EV technology. You know, one of the first guys when they came on the market, like, had to have it. I wonder when he's going to sell his, because that has now become
that's the trend.
Let me show you how I'm fighting back against Elon Musk. Meanwhile, I'm saying, yeah, I'm not really looking into an EV, but now I'd consider it.
Just because. Just to be the resistance.
I mean, I spent my money to get my blue check so I can support Elon Musk. And I would now say, tell me about this EV. I'd pull out my wife and be like, why are you driving one of those? I bet because of Elon.
Yeah, right. Well, but Donald Trump, he bought one. And he said, man, I bought this thing. It's amazing. I can't even drive it. I like it. But they ain't going to let me drive it. I've not driven it in a while. They don't let me drive it. But everybody in my administration is going to take this thing. You'll see it around town.
It's now become a political statement.
Totally is. But that's the thing. I don't feel like I need to make any political statement. There's nothing that I feel that I need to go out and wave the flag over.
Or light something on fire over.
Even better. There's no destruction I feel I need to even. But think about this, Los. When Joe Biden was in office and we disagreed with 99.9% of everything he did, was there ever a point that you went out and set a federal building on fire, or you went out and, made some effigy of Joe Biden or Kamala Harris or whomever else and torched that? No, we didn't have time to do that. We're too busy going to work.
I had two things. I bought a Fauci clown shirt.
Right.
I wore that proudly. That's still to this day. People would look at it like 3-4 years ago. They're like, oh,
yeah,
I don't know about that. Now they're like, yeah. I'm like, good. I'm glad you caught up to the game.
Finally.
And the only other thing I thought about, and this was after you had Donald Trump that was indicted, I was like, go home and I'm going to flip my American flag upside down.
Yeah.
And my wife was like, you can't do that.
Oh, yes, I can.
You can't do it. The friends of mine who actually did do it, I'm like, good for you.
Yeah. I didn't even do that. I mean, I'm fine with it. And I'm fine with people protesting Elon and Tesla. I'm fine with people as long as they keep it civil, keep it peaceful, unlike what CNN is describing as peaceful. Then it's your First Amendment right. Go out and protest all you want. I don't care.
Can I just point that out again? The Democrat Party took their chief political rival and tried to put him in prison because they couldn't beat him in an election. Do you realize how banana republic we are at that point? Do you realize what we actually escaped from?
And
this country was nearly over as a republic because an entire party looked at their chief political rival and said, let's treat him like Nelson Mandela.
There's CIA officers that warned about it that I would read. Officers that had left the agency, officers that had been there 10, 15, 20 years. And they said, man, this looks real bad. I'm leaving the agency because I don't believe in the goal anymore. I don't believe in what our government is doing anymore. I have to leave a job that I've worked so hard for. They didn't cry about it like some of the people getting fired in D.C. right now. They didn't cry about it. They worried about where the country was headed, and they said the exact same thing, Los. This is what happens in foreign countries, in foreign dictatorships, in socialist nations. This is what they do. They arrest their chief political rival. We've seen it for years. It's not like anything new to us. It was new to happen in the United States, and under the Joe Biden administration, it happened with regularity.
I have brought this up about the dictator who took power, and the quote that has long been attributed is, for my friends, everything, for my enemies, the law. I'm going to lock you up. Did you do anything? No.
Doesn't matter.
But I'm going to lock you up. That is what happens in third world dictatorships. That is what happens in places that are not a republic. And so when I say that I was willing to fly my flag upside down, that's why. It wasn't I'm going to burn a Tesla because I think it's unfair. Right. It goes so much more to the root, the core of what's going on. You're upset because Elon Musk is doing a job that was carved out by Obamacare and is on the books.
It was fine then.
To find inefficiency within the government.
They didn't mind it then, though. They just mind it now. And it's funny, though, when we say they, we need to be more specific because the American people do support it. And
yes.
We see that. They being the Democrat Party, the bureaucrats in Washington, D.C., and the media, the mainstream media, which doesn't have a lot of bites.
Butts are on the line. When we're getting rid of half the Department of Education, which, again, continues to turn out failing schools and turn out failing students, tell me why our grades and our scores are less than they were than when you implemented this program in 1978.
Because
how well are you doing?
Because it's so good.
We're going near 50 years where all you've done is driven down the level of education in this country, and God forbid somebody say, let's do it. Let's try something different.
Let's say you started like a pre-K academy, or bought into some franchise. And the kids that you brought there, you're telling the parents you're going to teach them, the basics. So when they get to kindergarten, they get to first grade, they're going to be ahead of everybody else. That's the pitch to get people to come to your pre-K. And you do nothing of the sort. How many parents are going to tell other parents, hey, don't go there. We paid all this money, and our kids weren't any further ahead than the regular kid that didn't go to this place. They went to a different place, and they were just fine. Parents would finally go, I'm not spending my money to go to this place. The taxpayers, I feel like, are in that same situation with the Department of Education.
So one of the things that we do have available in the state of Georgia is we have Georgia Pre-K.
Right.
And you can put your child into Georgia Pre-K, or you can take the funds and associate them to another Pre-K program. I will tell you that we went with a private school for Pre-K, and my kids were raring and ready to go by the time it was to enter the actual school system. And I believe that gave them a big leg up, but we were also paying for it. And so you see the difference when you put skin in the game and how suddenly you expect different results, and you want your kids to be learning and accelerated because you have skin in the game.
In the example of with the DOE, if that place that you were paying for didn't do the job, you you wouldn't send your younger daughter there.
No.
You'd be like, this is terrible.
It's like, this is a horrible place. She didn't learn anything.
Which is exactly what's happened with the DOE. It's a horrible place. Nobody learned anything. Actually, people regressed instead of learned.
It's just a good place to just launder money. So much of government is what it is. It's a great place to launder money.
Funny that we've always felt that. Now with USAID being broken down and federal agencies being shut down, that we actually see it. Elon Musk is now proving it by what he's doing with Doge. Everything you thought you knew is now being proven. Now you know it. It's not something you think you know. It's in front of your face. There's a whole website dedicated to it. All you have to do is go to doge.gov and look it up. It'll be right there for you. It's called transparency. We've not had that in a really long time. Morning Extra and Extra 106.3 when we continue. If Joe didn't sign the bills or the pardons, are they still legal? Next on the Morning Extra. 404-741-1230.
The latest sports news, powered by 680 The Fan and driven to extra listeners by RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs, Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
Here are your sports headlines for Wednesday, March 12th. Spring training continues for the Braves this afternoon, this time from Sarasota, as the Braves will visit the Baltimore Orioles. First pitch is set for 1:05. You can hear that game on our sister station's app, 680 The Fan. From the NFL, the Falcons have added a veteran pass rusher as former Georgia Bulldog Leonard Floyd has signed a one-year deal with the Falcons. Floyd has recorded at least 8.5 sacks in each of the last 5 seasons. And the Atlanta Hawks are back at State Farm Arena tonight as the Charlotte Hornets are in town. The Hawks now hold the 7th seed in the Eastern Conference playoffs with a record of 31-34. That tip-off is set for 7:30. With your sports headlines, I'm Carlos Medina.
Going to have a pretty good day today. Tomorrow got some rain, clouds moving in and staying in around on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Thunderstorms are expected. So when storms wreak havoc on your home, you can trust Southern Exteriors to make things right. 25 years of experience. They know storm damage cannot wait. It needs to be repaired immediately. That's why they offer emergency response and free estimate to assess the damage and get your home back on track. Southern Exteriors, they're not storm chasers. They're not knocking on every door in the neighborhood. You know who I'm talking about. I had one pop into my house probably 3 o'clock on Monday. It was like, hey, man, we're doing free estimates. We're walking around the neighborhood. I'm like, I'm good, buddy. I'm good, thank you. From roofing, siding, gutters, windows, doors, manpower to get the job done, and expertise to go on top of it. They've got the resources to assist in restoring your home and your peace of mind. Call Southern Exteriors. Get ahead of it before these storms come into town. If you know there's something wrong with your roof, get them up there now. Do not wait until it's too late. If your home or business has been impacted by a storm, 8779-SOUTHERN, 8779-SOUTHERN. SouthernExteriors.co is their website, southernexteriors.co for prompt and professional assistance.
Georgia is home to over 600,000 veterans who play an important role in strengthening our communities. The Warrior Alliance is recognizing these contributions at the 4th Annual Veteran Impact Awards and Gala on Thursday, May 22nd at the Coca-Cola Roxy Theater at the Battery, Atlanta. You may participate by nominating a Georgia veteran for their exceptional service after military service in categories such as first responder, healthcare, education, military spouse, and more. Go to thewarrioralliance.org today and submit your veteran nomination.
True Prep on Cobb Parkway is your one-stop shop for emergency preparedness supplies, including freeze-dried food, water filtration, first aid, and more. They also have a large selection of firearms, including a huge selection of AR-15s, firearm accessories, and ammo at the lowest prices around. They're locally owned and operated, and you can visit their store in Marietta on Cobb Parkway or online at trueprep.com. That's truprep.com. Prepare today for a worry-free tomorrow at True Prep.
Join A Second Chance Bail Bond CEO Daniel Madelon and host Tug Coward for the weekly radio show Back Your Blue. They will highlight special initiatives, criminal justice programs, and community events aimed at keeping our communities safer. Tune in Saturdays at 10 a.m. to learn some good news about and from the law enforcement and justice communities. This week's guest is Jacqueline Bridges, Mayor Pro Tem in Carrollton, Georgia. Tune in on Saturdays or catch up on all past episodes wherever you get your podcasts or or at thepodcastpark.com.
No one plans on going to jail, but when it happens, it's important that you know who to call. Call A Second Chance Bail Bonds, where we believe everyone deserves a second chance. Whether your loved one's been arrested in Cherokee, Clayton, or any of the other metro Atlanta counties in between, A Second Chance Bail Bonds works fast to help expedite release within hours. A Second Chance. It's better to know us and not need us than need us and not know us. Call A Second Chance 24/7 at 404-BAIL-OUT or online at atlbail.com. Advisory services offered through Master Plan Retirement Consultants, Inc., a registered investment advisory in the state of Georgia. Insurance, tax, and commodity services offered through Fricks & Associates, Inc., DBA Master Plan Retirement Consultants. The aforementioned are affiliated companies.
Retirement means different things to different people. Some folks want to travel the world. Some folks want to spend more time with grandkids. For me, I'm looking forward to spending more time with my guitar. Whether extravagant and robust or simple and cozy, every retirement needs a plan. You wouldn't take a trip without directions. You have to know where you are before you know where you're going. Master Plan Retirement Consultants have helped many like you plan for their own retirement. Not only does Master Plan help you create the roadmap, they join you on the journey. So whether you want to travel the world, become a pickleball champ, or just looking for a good porch, a sturdy rocking chair, and an acoustic guitar, remember to plan well because the destination is worth it. Visit masterplanretire.com to schedule your complimentary consultation today.
Hey, Georgia neighbors, it's time to expect more from your Medicare Advantage. Discover Sonder Health's custom plans tailored just for Georgians. Saunders offers unique benefits, including special plans for those living with chronic conditions. Some plans even come with grocery or gas benefits to support your overall well-being. Sonder Health makes it easy to get the coverage you need. See for yourself what today's Medicare Advantage can do for you. Visit SonderHealthPlans.com, a healthier state of life. Sonder Health Plans is an HMO and PPO with Medicare contracts. Enrollment in Sonder Health Plans depends on contract renewal.
The Morning Extra from 6 to 10. Glenn Beck until noon. Clay and Buck from noon to 3. And The Kimmer Show on your ride home from 3 to 6. Plus Jesse Kelly from 6 to 9. And Jimmy Vela from 9 to midnight. The voices you need all day with the conservative voice of Atlanta. Extra 106.3 FM and the Extra app.
What does it mean when Joe Biden isn't in the room when he's signing a bill? You're like, well, what? How in the world's that even happen? You've probably heard about the auto pen. And a lot of presidents have used the auto pen over the year, but not on pardons and not on actual legislation. It's never happened this way. And now we're seeing that some of the things that Joe Biden signed, quote unquote signed, happened while he was on vacation. So he couldn't have been there to legally sign this document.
This is getting weirder and weirder. And I think it's a legitimate conversation because of how far-reaching a lot of these pardons were. You have a number of pardons that were done on January 19th, basically his final day in office. And Joe Biden had pardons that were signed for the Biden family, for Dr. Fauci, for General Milley, also for the January 6th committee. All right, so you cleared the deck, all these pardons. Turns out he was never in D.C., and it turns out every single one of these signatures, they've got a really cool graphic that shows you they're all the exact same auto signature.
That's right. And constitutionally, the things, can you use an auto pen if you're signing commendations for people in the Marines or, just some sort of award so he doesn't have to sign, 10, 15, 20, maybe more? Yeah, you can do that. But when it's legally binding, you cannot per the Constitution.
Per the Constitution, it actually requires a real signature from the chief executive.
And some people are going to say, well, you're just nitpicking. Are we? At what point does it not become a constitutional issue? What point can you work around it? Like, give me an example where it doesn't matter. I can't think of one. They've not shown me one.
Does it not feel like the inmates on their way out of the asylum were like, let's make sure to take care of the other inmates?
And I hate to.
And we'll use the power of Joe, even though he doesn't know.
And that's the other question, Los. Then who was it? Nobody can answer that question either. Who was it that was making the decisions? If Joe, remember CBS News said most underreported story was Joe's mental decline. Now, of course, they had the opportunity. They knew what was going on. They should have done it. Finally, when they're in the clear, they're fine with being honest. So with them saying he was not capable of doing the job, and that was the most underreported story of his administration and definitely the last year, who was it?
And Joe has disappeared off the face of the earth.
Because he couldn't have been doing it.
Now, this isn't like Barack Obama, who bought a house in D.C. and was like, I'm staying around here.
I ain't going anywhere.
So I can protect my legacy and then ultimately run a third administration when Joe got into office.
Which is what he did.
Joe has disappeared like some of the other presidents do. Now, it's different. Like George W. Bush, he went back to Texas. But you would always see him at Ranger games because he was a former owner. So whenever the Rangers were doing well or the playoffs, you would just see, there's W.
It was always the quick pan to the camera.
Right on over there. Yeah. He'd go speak to the media. He would do interviews. He did a lot of work with veterans as far as he would take a lot of their artwork and put it on display and would hold a lot of different galas in order to raise money for veterans. He was still in the public. He just wasn't involved in politics any longer. Where's Joe?
Who was hitting the auto pen for Joe?
Because I think if we saw Joe right now, without the medication, without any of the support, we would recognize what really happened over the last 4 years. That auto pen, that was Joe.
Well,
they were just using it to take. We've got the figurehead. He's the president, but he ain't really here.
And I want to know who it was. And if Joe didn't do it. If Joe was on vacation, is it still legal? I would contend it's not. And I think that's what the Oversight Committee wants to know. I think that's what Republicans want to know. And I would like to think there's Democrats that would like to know this too. At CBS News, where are you on this? You're the one that has said now that it's underreported. Where do you stand on this? When are you going to do an investigative report? When are you going to do a 60-minute special about the auto pen that has changed the direction of the America, and the fact that you have people that cannot be prosecuted for crimes they may have committed? We don't know. Again, there was a blanket pardon. They never told us what they did.
Now, I wrote about this earlier in the week in our show notes. I was like, I don't think this goes anywhere. But the more that it keeps coming around, maybe there is something really to it. Because as of 2 days ago, it was, well, we think he used the auto pen on a handful of things. Then it turned into 99% of the things he signed outside of his letter of not seeking another term were all auto pen. Everything he did was auto pen. Now they'll say, well, look, he did a couple signing ceremonies. Man, that was early. Mm-hmm. There was nothing that you had over the last several years where everything was basically on autopilot. Joe would show up. And I think this really sticks out, too. Alina Habba had ended up posting a video.
Yeah.
Showed the video of the fake Oval Office that they were using. This entire thing was a sham.
The entire
It was a made-for-TV sham. The people that were in charge, it wasn't Joe. You elected a figurehead. And they told you he was the president, but he never was the president, ever.
And who was?
Right.
I want to know who was, and I think the American people want to know. And what does that mean for everything moving forward? If this were role reversed, if Donald Trump would have done this, they would melt down. They would call it a constitutional crisis, because everything with Donald Trump's a constitutional crisis, according to the Democrats. I want that same enthusiasm out of Democrats. I want to see them go, this isn't right, we have to fix it.
You'll never get that because that's hypocritical and that's never going to happen. But imagine how weird it is that they're sitting there screaming about how Elon Musk is the true president. He's the vice president.
Right.
I saw Jill Biden sitting running a cabinet meeting. All right? Like the first cabinet meeting that Donald Trump had, he's sitting at the head of the table and here's his cabinet.
Elon Musk standing over to the side.
He's over in the corner. Jill Biden ran cabinet meetings. And who was her backup? A crackhead in Hunter Biden.
That's right. But the thing is,
that's who was running this thing.
But
don't tell me about unelected people. Don't tell me about, well, we should have been able to vote on this.
My son is the smartest guy I know, Jack.
The hell, you don't have a leg to stand on.
You had 4 years of unelected.
You had 4 years of Jill Biden telling Joe, you did it great. You did great, Joe. You answered all the questions. Hooray. Like he couldn't wait for pudding time.
Like he was a 3-year-old.
And if he is that sharp and he is that with it, where is he?
He's not, and he wasn't. But
he's in a diaper more than likely right now. He isn't even up yet more than likely right now.
Yeah, you can't tell me about unelected. I don't want to hear it.
He was wandering around the White House, allegedly, naked at night. Those are the reports.
And CBS actually said that.
Like he's wandering around naked with dementia at night.
We know that. You know that. Everybody knows that. So, yes, stop with the unelected stuff and tell us who was running the Biden administration for the last 4 years. I don't expect we'll ever know the full answer. It was by committee. Barack Obama had a hand in it.
It'll take more tell-all books. Like, we're going to get one of them that's going to come up. But
Jake Tapper, that one.
Whoever wants to make money is going to tell the story of what had gone on in that White House during that time period. How many times did you find him naked and who'd wet himself?
See, but I don't expect the Jake Tapper...
I don't think they'll get into that.
Yes, it is going to be so sanitized. This is going to be... They're not going to share anything. It is nothing but a money grab. There are going to be people hoping that they say something, but he won't.
If Jake Tapper was really serious about this, then there would be an entire section of like, here's what our insiders at the White House are telling us how they're finding him.
But the problem is that would set them up for why didn't you report it then?
Tony, the gravy train's over for people like Jake Tapper. He's just trying to cash out now.
Trump doing what he campaigned on. Ending wars, one of the many things that he campaigned on. 7 o'clock hour brought to you by Van Sant Law Group. If you're in an accident, make the right call. VanSantLaw.com. Got a Neil Bortz report and a Fox News update and more of the Morning Extra.
It's time for the Bortz Report, exclusively on Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station, Extra 106.3.
While talking to Tug and the gang yesterday morning, I mentioned that under the fair tax, no family would pay any money to the federal government until the family's basic needs were cared for. Then the emails and the questions started coming. Well, how in the world does that work? So here is the quick explanation. First of all, no taxes, no income tax, Social Security tax, Medicaid tax, business taxes, corporate taxes, none of them. All government programs are taken care of through a consumption tax. So are you paying that consumption tax every time you go out and buy something? Yes, you are. So how can I say you don't pay anything to the federal government until your basic needs are met? Here's how that works. The Commerce Department posts figures every year on just what it would take for a household of 1, 2, 25, whatever, to pay for the basic goods they need. Shelter, medical care, groceries. You've heard this referred to as the cost of living. Well, take that figure and divide it by 12. And every household in this country, every month, would receive that figure, the monthly cost of living, deposited into their checking account, savings account, debit account, whatever. So they're out there paying the consumption tax, but they get this prebate every month that covers everything they've paid in taxes up to that cost of living number. In a country that prides itself on freedom, isn't it only logical that every household should be free to spend the money they earn on their own needs before they start funding the federal government? The fair tax does that. It needs the attention of Washington, D.C. Learn about it at fairtax.org. Talk to your representatives. This is the best path forward for America. Neil Bortz, Extra 106.3.
Tired of financial uncertainty? Tune into Smart Income Radio and take control of your financial future. Whether you're gearing up for retirement, already retired, or looking to make smarter money moves, Smart Income Radio delivers the strategies you need to secure your wealth and future. Get expert insights, proven strategies, and practical advice to build, protect, and grow your wealth so you can enjoy the life you deserve. Smart Income Radio, Saturdays at 8 a.m. Plan smart, protect more, retire with confidence.
You may know that ATL Turf Co. has become a leader in artificial grass design and installation services. But you may not know that ATL Turf Co. is a large artificial grass distributor. We only sell U.S.-made, premium name brand turf at factory direct pricing below wholesale. And now we're open to the public with large inventories of lawn and landscape, putting green, athletic, and pet turf on sale. Plus, all remnants are on sale for only $1 per square foot foot, direct from Dalton to our warehouse in Kennesaw. Visit atlturfco.com to learn more. atlturfco.com.
For half a century, glyphosate has affordably and effectively protected Georgia farmers' crops from invasive weeds. Without it, the impact would be felt beyond the fields, hitting Americans where it hurts, our wallets. That's why the Modern Ag Alliance advocates for farmers' continued access to essential crop protection tools so food prices don't rise even more. Get the facts at controlweedsnotfarming.com. Paid for by the Modern Ag Alliance in support of Georgia farmers.
Everything to a Marxist is political. They lose their humanity. That's why they have so many atrocities in the communist countries. They're not Democrats. They're communists.
The Kimmer Show every afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m. on Xtra 106.3 and the Xtra app. WFOM and W292 EV Marietta, a Dickey broadcasting station. The 8 a.m. hour is brought to you by Central Heating and Air.
More death, more destruction. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. In Ukraine, hours after that country's leaders in talks in Saudi Arabia agreed to a U.S. brokered plan for a ceasefire. Russian attacks killed 5 Ukrainian civilians.
The Ukrainian military says Russia launched 3 missiles and 133 drones in an overnight attack, the vast majority of them reportedly intercepted. This as the United States prepares to take Ukraine's ceasefire offer to Russia, a 30-day pause in hostilities. Secretary of State Marco Rubio says the ball is in Moscow's court.
Fox's Jonathan Savage, and Rubio just said he'll make contact with Russia today. New U.S. tariffs on all steel and aluminum imports went into effect this morning, with President Trump telling a business leader round table.
That's a lot of money. But the biggest win is if they move into our country and produce jobs. That's a bigger win than the tariffs themselves.
Well, he insists tariffs will lead companies to manufacture more products in the U.S., but there are retaliatory tariffs just announced this morning. The European Union, $26 billion worth of American exports. Canada has also announced tariffs on about $30 billion of U.S. goods. President Trump is taking another step toward his goal of eliminating the Department of Education, ordering half its workforce be cut. Secretary Linda McMahon tells Fox.
We're not taking away education. The president never said that. He's taken the bureaucracy out of education so that more money flows to the states. Better education is closest to the kids.
Democrats warn getting rid of the department, which they could block in Congress, will affect school programs and students. Last night in the House,
on this vote, the yeas are 217. The
approving a bill to fund the government before a Friday deadline would trigger a shutdown, but only one Democrat was among the yeas. The rest opposed the plan, saying there are cuts to programs. House Speaker Mike Johnson tells Fox.
It's shameful what happened on the Democrat side. They engaged in a misinformation campaign.
But a compromise looms in the Senate, where in order to pass the bill, Republicans will need some Democrat support. America's listening to Fox News.
This month and every month, we remember the over 66 million babies whose lives have been senselessly sacrificed on the altar of abortion. Surely, the left doesn't understand the repercussions of a land that takes the blood of the innocent. And that should only motivate us more to save more babies and their moms. Preborn is a network of clinics, and they fight every day to save more babies and more moms. To date, they've rescued over 300,000 babies' lives by introducing a mom to her child on an ultrasound. That baby's chance at life doubles. Preborn showers moms and babies with God's love and assistance for up to 2 years. So when they shout abortion, we shout life. Let's save more babies this year than last. One ultrasound is just $28, and only $140 will help rescue 5 babies. All of the gifts are tax deductible. So donate securely. Dial pound 250. Say the keyword baby. That's pound 250, keyword baby. Or go to preborn.com/hope. Preborn.com/hope. Sponsored by Preborn.
Align your business with other like-minded conservatives by advertising on Xtra 106.3. Email sales at xtra1063.com.
I can't think of anything better than when someone makes you a promise and they keep it. Is there anything more delightful when somebody says, this is what I'm going to do for you, and then they do it? Or vice versa, when you tell somebody that you're going to deliver something.
Yeah, like I'm going to get you a 0FG.
Yes. And he did. Did you talk about Dre?
Yeah.
He did. Look right over your left shoulder. I sat it down right there.
Oh.
It's all on me. Dre did his part.
I really thought that this was all setting up to say that Dre did not do it.
No.
And
I made the mistake of handing it to you in the hallway.
Well, the problem, because I was headed to the boys' room, so I wasn't going to take it with me. And so I just sit it
But you put it in a scavenger spot.
Oh, I know. Dude, it's gone.
Like, this is Mad Max. Anybody could take that from right there.
But you know who will see them take it? And then I can go attack them at their desk peacefully?
This is Thunderdome, man.
I can peacefully attack them.
2 men enter, 1 man leaves when it comes to that zero FG.
Go! Steal my zero FG thief. I know who you are. Shame, shame. Everybody knows your name, like on the Andy Griffith Show back in the day. If you used to watch old Andy on TBS leading up to the Braves game, like me and my family always did. No, but seriously, though, there's something very gratifying, I feel like, if you tell somebody you're going to do something and then you do it. Like, I feel like the act of service is just as rewarding as you know, getting someone being kind to you or delivering a promise. The reason I bring all this up is because that's been Donald Trump's MO in the first, what day are we
47?
No, it's got to be more.
No, we're past
50.
Oh, wait, 53?
53 sounds about right.
Yeah.
For 53 days, he has delivered on the promises that he's campaigned on. This time, Los, he's got another ceasefire.
Yeah, Marco Rubio made the announcement yesterday that you now have the Ukrainians who have chosen to take the 30-day ceasefire. And now it comes down to, and it's what's been the trick of all of this, is that the Russians have seemed like they're much more interested in a ceasefire than the Ukrainians. So now that you have the Ukrainians on board, you have a real chance at peace. I want you to take a listen as they made the announcement yesterday about the ceasefire and the hopes for peace in that part of Europe.
Today, we made an offer that the Ukrainians have accepted, which is to enter into a ceasefire and into immediate negotiations to end this conflict in a way that's enduring and sustainable and accounts for their interests, their security, their ability to prosper as a nation. We'll take this offer now to the Russians, and we hope that they'll say yes to peace. The ball is now in their court. The president's objective here is, number one, above everything else, he wants the war to end, and I think today Ukraine has taken a concrete step in that regard. We hope the Russians will reciprocate.
So now we're 10 days removed from, well, Zelensky showed Trump in the Oval Office what's what. They took the deal because there's no other options on the table, just as Donald Trump, a master negotiator, said, you don't have the cards. Now we need peace in the area. And if this guy, that's now the second ceasefire he's been able to accomplish, we are now legitimately talking. I know Nobel Peace Prize doesn't mean anything to anyone.
Right.
But if you have to acknowledge at some point that there is a diplomat who's been able to do more for the world in terms of its safety than Donald Trump, please tell me who it's going to be.
They can't answer the question,
53 days.
But that's not going to be enough.
No, it's fine.
Yeah, which is,
But
you and I.
I certainly hope that they pick out some random Ugandan and say, what has he done for peace? This is what person's done for peace. And we will all look at it and say, Donald Trump ended 2 wars with his administration.
And you will then realize that the leftists that run the Nobel Peace Prize organization aren't serious people. You know that. I know that. Everybody knows that. I just love the fact that he's able to maneuver when everybody said you can't. And even everybody told him that he shouldn't. Remember, you shouldn't be doing this. Hey, the Russians, they're the bad ones here. You shouldn't be giving them the chance at peace. And all the while, he was not on anybody's side. And that's what makes a good negotiator. He didn't have a path to get to the ceasefire that it had to check all the certain boxes. No, here's what we want to accomplish. I don't think you're good, and I don't think you're good. I just know we need peace. I know we need a ceasefire. And he didn't bend to either side, and that's why he was able to get it done.
What we are seeing on a regular basis is using the strength of America, not only with people that we need to do it, which is the people that are obviously very anti-American, but we are doing it with our allies as well. You know, the Canadians, as of 24 hours ago, it's, hey, we're going to cut off electricity to the States.
Okay.
And then 4 hours later, just kidding. We'll do a deal, whatever you want. We'll come meet you.
Yeah.
Let's see. So the snow Mexicans came around and were like, oh, my God, he's really going to do this to us. Now, then the actual Mexicans, their president, she's saying, hey, can we delay these tariffs because we want to get a deal done with you? Like, okay, we're talking.
And we're a year out from the USMCA renegotiation, right? This is setting the stage for all that.
You then have the Ukrainians having to be told 10 days ago, you don't have the cards, we're cutting off aid, you're going to stop this, and so are the Russians. And the Russians, the weird part about it, They were getting further with negotiating with Russia than they were with the Ukrainians. Zelensky's like, now we're going to fight on. I'm going to go to the EU. We're going to we're going to keep fighting.
He had been talking to Chris Murphy.
Yeah, the Russians were sitting back saying, yeah, this is over with for us too. So I don't think we're going to have a problem getting a deal done, and you will then have peace in Eastern Europe.
Yeah.
All because of Donald Trump. And again, using
dictator.
American power, the dictator for peace.
That's right. How many of those have we had in history? Go back to your history books. Google a history book, one that you can read, one that's now part of the public domain.
Dictator of peace.
And find me a dictator of peace. They use that disparaging name, hoping that you wouldn't vote for him. You saw through it. You knew better. And now America is going to be better off for it. Are there going to be bumps in the road? I say this over and over. Yes, there are going to be bumps in the road. There are going to be mistakes. Yes, absolutely. But no one has been more efficient with his time in office than Donald Trump. If he continues on this path, he's going to be the greatest president to ever live. He's going to be the greatest president the United States has ever had. And this is coming from me, a guy that doesn't worship the altar of Trump ever. But I can't help but notice what he's doing and how successful he is.
Can you imagine being able to force peace in 2 different countries without having to fire a bullet?
In 53 days.
In 53 days. By the way, just a little other side note, your gas prices are as low as they've been in 5 years.
What did you send me yesterday, the text you sent me?
I basically told you that we have some tumultuous times coming, but that the information of what's going on as far as inflation cooling to this level, if we can get to negative inflation,
the furnace that is the American economy is
now starting to roar.
Is going to roar. It's
but
right.
This is what's going to happen too, because we do have a looming housing crisis that is on the horizon right now. That might end up putting a pretty nasty dent in the economy, in part because home values are overvalued, in part because the Biden administration was taking foreclosures out of the marketplace when it came to FHA loans with a program.
More than 500,000 of them, according to the Wall Street Journal.
So we will see whether or not that ends up putting a damper on this economy. At some point, you are going to have to deal with some economic craziness, but at least the underlying issues in terms of energy production, the price is coming down, which means the costs of many of your goods and services are going to come down. Like, do you ever think about this? You ever called a plumber to come out to your house?
Oh, yeah.
And they say, here's our fee?
Yep.
Have you ever noticed how that has grown over the past 5 years?
Yes.
It's because getting that truck out to your house with as much fuel as it burns is more expensive.
Yeah.
It's amazing what happens that, let's say it's $100 to come out to your house to check something. Well, somebody out there saying, well, it doesn't cost me as much with the fuel prices. Let's charge $70. Maybe we'll pick up more business.
Right, and let's get ahead of somebody else because everybody calls for three estimates usually.
And that is how your prices come down in the marketplace. Because people, when they start having a nicer margin and it doesn't cost them as much to run their business, they start passing that savings on to you in the interest of trying to land more business.
Are you alluding to free market capitalism?
It's weird how it works, isn't it?
I knew that's what you were talking about.
If it takes less money for me to get my goods to market and my competitor is charging you $10 a pizza, good luck finding a $10 pizza, but still, in the hypothetical world, and I'm saying I can now charge $8.50, maybe I'll sell more because I'm the cheaper option. That's how prices come down. This is not difficult. This is economics 101 stuff. Supply and demand is very easy.
I don't have a degree in economics, but it makes sense to me.
If it costs me less to fulfill that supply, I can pass that savings on to you in the interest of hopefully you'll buy more from me.
Gosh, that sounds like America in its prime.
The invisible hand of capitalism.
What you just laid out sounds like the prime of America, like when everything was supposed to be. And here's another thing that you don't hear mentioned all of a sudden. When's the last time you saw any of the mainstream outlets, any of the networks go, well, you know, those egg prices, boy, they're still high. Donald Trump said he's going to make them cheaper as soon as he came into office. He's not been able to do that quite yet. When's the last time you heard one of those stories? Because it's been about at least 10 days for me. I don't know about you, Los, but and somebody went to the store the other day, namely my wife, and she goes, hey, I noticed that egg price is a little cheaper. Did you know that? And I was like, heard about it.
Heard about it.
Actually, didn't hear about it on
noticing it.
I didn't hear about it on the mainstream outlets.
But
it's truly happening.
But it was never about the eggs. It really wasn't. As much as, Trump voters are going to have a hard time when you have to deal with these prices. See, I told you.
We've been dealing with them for 3 years.
We've been dealing with them for 3 years. It ain't about the eggs. It's about everything.
Yep.
And to see now these prices start to fall, ha.
Yeah.
And the man's been doing this for 53 days. 53 days. You got another 3.5 years to sit through. Sorry, longer than that. You got another 3 years and 9 months to sit through this stuff. Good luck to you.
It's going to burn for a long time because your economic principles, the ones that the Bidenomics, they are going down in flames. They were bad to begin with. You knew it, I knew it, and Joe Biden probably knew it. But they hated America enough that we're going to, how did Barack Obama put it? We're going to fundamentally change America. He started it. He saw another opportunity with a dementia-ridden Joe Biden to continue what he had started in his presidency and to continue to diminish America for 4 more years with Joe Biden in name only.
When I run into this stuff around the office, like I remember there was a woman who used to work here, and we would talk about tax policy from time to time, and she had bought all of it. She thought that her identity was in voting Democrat and that she would not be authentically black if she didn't. Like that's how she viewed the world.
Sweetest woman you ever met in her whole life.
Yes. Awesome lady. But that's what she was taught, and she bought all of it. And so I remember having this discussion of saying, look what Donald Trump has done from a tax policy perspective. You're now able to retire earlier than you were planning on. I was like, do you realize how actually easy this was to get done? Now, in comparison, you had to pass through a pretty substantial tax cut, through House and through Congress. So it wasn't as easy as just saying wave a magic wand. But Joe Biden had the ability through executive order to lower your energy prices. He chose, or somebody did, to enhance your energy prices on day one, which then created a wildly inflationary environment. Day one, canceling the Keystone Pipeline and then mandating EVs and all the things he was doing, or somebody was doing, was raising your energy prices, which in turn raised everything that you had in the supermarket. That's basic economic 101 stuff. And so I like to tell people, hey, Donald Trump's a fool, right? Yeah, he's a fool. Do you realize how easy it was to actually lower this stuff? It's because Biden didn't want to.
It was a choice.
It was
just
a choice
like the border.
not to.
The border was a complete choice.
It was a choice.
That's why when Trump said, that's why it was such a home run when Trump said in his speech, we didn't need new laws, which is what he said from the beginning when he was campaigning.
Just needed a new president.
We just needed a new president, someone willing to do what needed to be done. They knew they wanted to import voters. They knew they wanted to change America fundamentally. That is the remnants of Barack Obama, who, if I had to guess, Los, was running the last 4 years for Joe Biden.
The economic engine of this country is not hard to get cranked up. It's deregulation and changing of tax policy. That is shown for the better part of 50 years to work every single time. So it begs the question, if you're not doing it, are you only then trying to enhance dependability of the regular average American on government? Yeah. And that's what the goal was.
That's what they wanted, because that's where they worship. That's where they worship.
Now, what they didn't see coming, they never saw Doge coming. They never, I'm telling you, they were more than happy to, lock in Donald Trump's current tax policies and let him wrangle over tariffs and everything else he was doing. They never saw Doge coming. They never realized that the pocketbook was going to get hit, and that these people that have been using your tax dollars to fund their communism was going to go away.
You think they hated him to begin with.
Oh, now
you have no idea.
It's on steroids because they never saw this coming. They thought they would have the shields to protect themselves from any of this stuff.
We're going to insulate from Donald Trump.
And Congress will never cut funding to USAID. They're doing so much good in the world. Man, that was the sneak attack. And for anyone who does the Donald Trump is dumb, yeah, maybe. But the people around him aren't.
Yeah, right. He's smart enough to know to put the people around him in a place to make decisions and do good work on his behalf. In his name.
An Obamacare era law to strip away the spending in the federal government that was fruitless.
And on top of that, with all these federal credit cards, remember the judge that said you
can't cancel them. All right, well, we'll make the limit $1.
Uh-oh.
How brilliant is that? You can't cancel these federal credit cards. All right, well, we'll make the spending limit $1.
Now what are you going to do? Are you going to take that back to court?
What do you think about that?
Yeah, exactly. But it's the little things. It's thinking 2 steps ahead, because they're like, I guarantee you, if I had to put myself in that situation or in that room, somebody was like, okay, what happens if this judge goes against us? You know, they're cherry picking the judges. What's our next move?
They are 3 steps ahead of the communists right now, across the board. No wonder you're going to get a peace deal done.
Yeah.
You've been 3 steps ahead the entire time. Whatever we're reacting to right now, just know that the Trump administration is 3 months down the road with what their plans are.
You gave them 4 years to prepare, and they used it wisely.
What do you think that they were going to do? There's a dude working for them that catches rockets.
Yeah.
and you think they're reactionary? No. Man, Aunt Peg, it's going to be tough. Uncle Chip, it's going to be tough. You're going to spend the next 3 years on the defensive, constantly being upset about what's going on. And you'll always be behind, and you're going to lose every day for almost 4 years.
There was an old saying in the Navy, Los, you'll love this. Preparation prevents piss poor performance. It was the 5 Ps. They would always say it. Hey, be prepared. Whatever you're getting ready to do, prepare yourself to do it correctly. And that's what Donald Trump's been doing for 4 years. And you're seeing the fruits of that preparation now. Morning Extra, Next 106.3, 8 o'clock hour is brought to you by Central Heating and Air Conditioning. 770-GET-HEAT, centralheat.com. Get a maintenance agreement, get a repair to the HVAC, or replace the HVAC with a new carrier system. 770-GET-HEAT, centralheat.com. When we come back, Fonnie Willis has some troubled waters ahead. She could be disbarred. Wow. That will be an interesting discussion. And as a matter of fact, we have a guy that's been keeping up with it a whole lot. Phil Holloway, lawyer here in town. You've seen him on Fox News. You've seen it on the Megyn Kelly Show. You've seen him on CNN. You've seen it in a lot of places talking about this very topic. We'll talk about it first around 8:25 and have him in at 9:25 to bring his expertise to it. This is the Morning Extra.
The legend Neil Bortz is only on Extra 106.3. Hey, it's Pete, and here's what you missed from the Talkmaster.
Trump is making a lot of noise about getting rid of the Department of Education, and that's one of the best news items this week. Poorly informed American voters believe that the Department of Education is an essential function of the federal government. It's not.
Catch Neil's commentary every day on Extra 106.3 or listen anytime on the Extra 106.3 app.
Hey there, I'm Tara, owner and publisher of Our Town Monthly, Cobb's favorite family lifestyle magazine. Partnering with our community and local businesses is what we love to do. Check out what's happening at the Avenue West Cobb.
Hey everyone, I'm Alondra. The Avenue West Cobb is just a short drive from Atlanta. Discover the dynamic mix of premium national brands like J. Jill and J. Crew, plus unique local realtors and delicious restaurants, including Lazia and Jim and Nick's. And don't forget our exciting events. Our bunny photos and our annual spring festival is just around the corner, and Puppy Fun at Paul's Fest is this summer. The Avenue is a vibrant destination with entertainment for the whole family. For the latest details, please visit us at theavenuewestcobb.com.
Sounds amazing. Friends, I'll see you at the Avenue West Cobb. Remember, our town is your town at Our Town Monthly.
HGI Wealth Advisors is your financial defense partner, preparing you for the unexpected when the inevitable happens in life. Our tailored strategies empower families to build wealth, generate infinite income, and mitigate taxes, fees, and penalties. At HGI Wealth Advisors, we help you transfer wealth while creating an everlasting legacy. Our goal is to ensure you meet your financial needs today, tomorrow, and into retirement. Our experienced team is committed to ensuring your legacy endures for generations to come. Learn more at hgiwealthadvisors.com.
Hi, I'm Chris Lalamia, owner of the Trusted Toolbox. Are home repairs piling up? Are you feeling overwhelmed? Relax.
we've got you covered. From drywall dings and leaky faucets to deck repairs and trim replacement, we're your one-stop shop for everything for your home needs. No more juggling multiple contractors. Just call us at the Trusted Toolbox and we'll handle it. Your home deserves the best, and we don't want you breaking your back trying. Call the Trusted Toolbox today at 770-623-3097 or visit us at thetrustedtoolbox.com. The Trusted Toolbox, your one-stop shop for home repairs and more.
Hey, it's a Kimmer. Okay, you're driving along. Suddenly you hear that horrible sound of metal and crunching. It's an accident. Even if it's a little minor fender bender, man, that could be a nightmare. First, obviously, take care of yourself. But before you make a deal with an insurance company or anybody else, call David Van Sant with Van Sant Law. You know why? Because he used to work for the insurance company, so he knows how to get the right settlement and right away. Van Sant Law. Don't forget, if you don't get paid, they don't get paid. Protecting your interests. Insurance is great, but it's complicated. 855-GA-INJURY or vansantlaw.com.
Hey, Georgia neighbors, it's time to expect more from your Medicare Advantage. Discover Sonder Health's custom plans tailored just for Georgians. Saunders offers unique benefits, including special plans for those living with chronic conditions. Some plans even come with grocery or gas benefits to support your overall well-being. Sonder Health makes it easy to get the coverage you need. See for yourself what today's Medicare Advantage can do for you. Visit SonderHealthPlans.com, a healthier state of life. Sonder Health Plans is an HMO and PPO with Medicare contracts. Enrollment in Sonder Health Plans depends on contract renewal.
Attention, Atlanta. It's the biggest truckload safe sale of the year at the Safe Market and Liberty Safes of Atlanta. And it's happening for 3 days only. We're unloading American-made safes at up to 40% off. Gun safes, home security safes. With 3 convenient locations, there's never been a better time to buy. Hurry, because when the truck's empty, the deals are gone. Shop online or come to one of our 3 stores for even better savings. Thursday, March 20th through Saturday, March 22nd only. Call 770-242-0055 or visit thesafemarket.com now.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
Here are your headlines for Wednesday, March 12th. The Georgia House passed the budget for fiscal year 2026. Major items include public safety, infrastructure costs for future sports events, and education. The $37.7 billion budget includes $1.5 billion in new spending. It now goes to the Senate for review. The Georgia Senate passed 2 bills imposing stricter laws on the sale of hemp-based products. If passed into law, those bills would ban THC-infused drinks and other products currently sold in Georgia. Atlanta Mayor Andre Dickens launched his re-election campaign Tuesday. So far, no challengers have announced their intentions to run against him in November. Today's weather, sunny skies with a high of 77 degrees. Showers are expected tomorrow afternoon with a possibility of severe storms this weekend. With your headlines, I'm Jerry Payne.
8 o'clock hour brought to you by Central Heating and Air Conditioning, your Atlanta carrier expert, 770-GET-HEAT, centralheat.com. If you need the AC or the heating replaced in your home, get a new carrier system with Central Heating and Air Conditioning. But if you don't need that, if you just need a repair, they can repair any AC or heating unit that you have, no matter the brand. But what you should do, regardless, get it fixed or get it replaced, make sure you have a maintenance agreement to make sure that that equipment lasts as long as it possibly can. Regular maintenance. Keeping that thing working to peak efficiency is what they do at Central Heating and Air Conditioning. 770-GET-HEAT, centralheat.com.
Just like Tug.
That's right. And Lowe's.
Working at peak efficiency.
That's well, I'm not sure I ever... I would question that. Relative. Near peak. I would say near peak efficiency. Fonnie Willis, she went from saying she couldn't find any documents. I mean, zero. Nothing. They've searched high and low. They've searched in every nook and cranny. They've searched everywhere. Couldn't find a document one related to Donald Trump's case when it came to a relationship or communication, a connection with Jack Smith or the White House. Gosh, it doesn't exist. It's not around.
I wish Jerry had been with us months ago when I said, this woman's going to be left holding the bag. And then it's like you're the last person at the party and the last person has to clean up.
Yeah.
She's now stuck looking around going, wait a minute, where'd everybody go? And what about all the promises of a future career? And what about all the things that were going to come to me from a Biden administration, from a Democrat party? She's left holding the bag. She's going to be in trouble.
The garbage bag. She left holding the garbage bag. And so... because, they had a hearing, I think it's probably been 2 weeks ago now, right about 2 weeks ago, where they sat down and the judge was deciding, do we want to have a special master involved to start digging for this evidence? It could have been another judge or it could be a lawyer, either way. They haven't decided yet. on whether they're going to implement the special master. But all of a sudden, there's 212 documents that they've come up with.
Weird.
All of a sudden.
Were they next to Joe Biden's Corvette?
I think probably so.
Stuck in the garage.
That's right. They had to be somewhere. Tom Fitton, he is the guy that runs Judicial Watch. And you remember, Judicial Watch filed a Freedom of Information Act. They pushed back. Ultimately, Judicial Watch sued the Fulton County and won. Covered all of their legal bills, like $22,000, something like that. Well, they have a pretty good idea of what's going on. Here's Tom Fitton talking about those 212 recently found documents.
Fani Willis today, her lawyers admitted that they have 212 pages on collusion targeting Trump. They were coordinating with the January 6th committee on the unprecedented prosecutions of Trump, not for doing anything illegal, in my view, but for exercising his core First Amendment rights, his obligations under his oath of office as President of the United States to make sure the elections were run correctly in Georgia. So again, Judicial Watch's heavy lifting repeatedly gets more and more results with this Fani Willis scandal. So Fani Willis admits to having documents. She's forced to pay us $22,000. We find out the documents are even more than anyone had previously admitted to, 212 pages. And the court said, I want to look at the documents.
Yes, they did. Imagine why they would want to look for the documents and through the documents to prove the point that the judge, Robert McBurney, he even said, yeah, now I need some time to go through these documents.
Here is where the court told our Judicial Watch lawyers what he was going to do, which is the records be turned over to him for review.
I'll enter an order that says I'm taking this under the 212 pages in camera to review that. So that's in the record. County attorney, you got 4 days to bring me the documents, or 48 hours, or whatever it is, and then we'll all know where those are.
So right now, we don't know what the documents are, what they say. There are all sorts of privileges being asserted. The fact is, we now know hundreds of pages of documents exist detailing collusion between Fani Willis and the Pelosi operation. I don't know where the Justice Department is on all of this. I think they're going too slow generally on everything I care about. I hope they get up to speed. It's only been a month or so, but still, the Republicans continuing to be under attack. That charge in Georgia was so abusive and so deserving of criminal investigation, and now there are records that I think could reflect whether a criminal investigation is warranted of Fani Willis's operation, and not only that, whether there should be investigations of what the January 6th committee was up to when they were abusing their powers to ferret out information to help prosecutors target their political enemies, namely Donald Trump and other innocents.
This is glorious. This is like explosions in the sky, fireworks going, you knew it, and now you're seeing it. All of the wheels are falling off, have been falling off, and this is maybe the last and final bus that the wheels need to fall off of.
But the January 6th committee, they didn't need a pardon.
No, what? No, why would they need a pardon?
I guess I understand why they got a pardon. It's been nearly 3 years. I still remember I'm sitting over in Florida. We're doing the show, and I go over to whitehouse.gov because the visitor's log is public record at the White House. You can see everyone who passed through. You can even look into sports teams and be like, okay, how many of these people all checked in order to go and meet with the president? And there it was, plain as day, Fani Willis, 2 times. I'm like, she said she never met with the administration. She never went to the White House. I'm like, you're in the official log 2 different times. It's right in front of you. And so they planned on, I guess, just doing it out in the open and then lying to the American public and then thinking that there would never be a repercussion for them colluding to try and get their chief political rival to put him in prison.
I'm not sure, but I believe Nathan Wade's name may have showed up on that log as well. More than 212. I guarantee you there's more than 212. That's just the tip of the iceberg. I guarantee it. Like, I'd be willing, Los, to bet my salary on it, that there are more documents than this. This is just the beginning of what they've been able to find. And like he said, like Tom Fitton from Judicial Watch, I don't know what these documents say, but I have a pretty good idea. Just based on your investigative work and looking at the visitor's log of the White House, that tells me what some of the things that'll be in the 212 or more, which I expect more, documents that were just magically found. Just popped up. I looked everywhere. Gosh, I didn't.
Yeah, I was checking under. I looked under every mattress. God, where were these?
This one manila folder's just laying over there. It's just like it just appeared out of nowhere. I thought I checked every box. Turned out I didn't check the one that had all the evidence in it. There it is. Boy, look at me go. I am doing
so talented.
And the other thing that stood out to me about what Tom Fitton said, and it was like an 8-minute video we just played, about 90 seconds or 2 minutes of it total of his 8-minute just discussion about what had gone on. He said, I hope the Justice Department is paying attention to this, and I expect that they are. He said they're moving slower than he would like it to. There has to be reason behind that because nobody wants it more than Donald Trump. Nobody wants to be vindicated more than him because he was persecuted, he was lied about, he was disparaged. He's already won lawsuits against ABC. He's got one against CBS. I hope he wins that one too. Nobody wants it more. So I understand what Fitton's saying. He wishes the wheels of justice would speed up. So do I. But there's a reason. There's a reason. There always is. They plan.
Well, there's something perilous about this. We're waiting to see, considering the amount of lawfare that went on over a 4-year period, what is going to be the result? Like, where is that pound of flesh going to come from? But you are in this situation, I think, and here's the delicate nature of it. Yes, I want Pam Bondi to start putting people in prison, but it also cannot look like what the Biden administration is doing.
Yeah, it has to be on the up and up.
And so everything is being slow played. And I think that is to build ironclad cases based on whoever they decide.
That's right. I think that.
Now, but there has to be something.
Yeah.
Because you can't have that amount of lawlessness for 4 years and then just say, okay, bygones be bygones. No big deal. We're turning the other cheek.
Even if they wanted to do that, they can't because it sets the wrong precedent. If it's happened once and you do nothing about it, it'll happen again. Look, Republicans are not going to be in office forever. Now, it seems like for the near future, maybe even the distant future, because they have nobody to run. We talked about that earlier. They don't have anybody that can beat Republicans. Nobody. But at some point, it's just the way life works. It's all cyclical. They'll be back in office, and they'll do it again if you don't punish it severely. It's like the ice leakers. What did I say the other day? They better bring the hammer of justice down so hard that people will be like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not doing that anymore.
Because you know what's going to happen. In the unlikely, I'm trying to will it, okay? In the unlikely event that the Democrats end up in the House again in 2026, you know what they're going to do? They're just going to impeach the president once a month.
Well, I mean, Jamie Raskin's
It'll be so tiring.
Jamie Raskin's already talking about it.
Yes.
He talked about it yesterday. He was like, we got to impeach the president.
They have bastardized impeachment to the point where it doesn't matter anymore.
It means nothing.
It used to be a big deal to be impeached. Now it's, all right, so let me get this straight. You impeached a guy for calling Ukraine and saying, hey, y'all have some corruption there. You better look into it.
Yeah, that's what they did. And interestingly enough, the phone call that he made was the right one because there was corruption there and still is. There's nothing. He did nothing wrong. And yet, because they were so concerned about him finding out about the money laundering and the biolabs and everything else that goes on in Ukraine, that they're like, how do we get rid of him because it's going to put the light on us?
There was a phone call that you can still find online. It was Joe Biden, and it was from 2016 as they were moving into 2017 and leaving the White House, where he called Ukraine and basically said, y'all need to scale everything back because we don't need Donald Trump looking into this because he'll find out.
And then
how shady is that?
Yeah, very. And then you have all the stuff on Hunter Biden's laptop that we know is real, that we're talking about communications.
So I do want a spanking.
Yeah.
Like, I do want to see, but there has to be something, Pam Bondi. But I also don't want it to come across in the dirty way.
Yeah, you have to hold them out. And
the DOJ was operating under Joe Biden or whoever was running the country during that time period with Sleepy Joe.
You have to do it the right way. You have to do it on the up and up because you need to hold yourself to a higher standard. That way, like you said, ironclad's a great word because if you do it the right way, if you're patient and practice that, then you will have a lockdown case that even the biggest skeptic can go, I was wrong. He was right. They might not admit it, but they'll know it.
What was so bad about the previous administration is because since none of them were elected that were actually running things, They felt like they had carte blanche to do whatever they wanted.
And they did.
And so by the time they sank Joe's numbers, he was going to lose, according to their own polling, by 100 electoral votes. He was going to get smashed in the election. And they just decided, all right, we got to pull the plug on this, did Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer. They're the ones that basically ousted him. How wild, how crazy of a scenario that the people that were running the entire White House and the entire country then said, well, we needed to get done over 4 years. We pushed the football as far down the field, and now they know that Joe has dementia and he can't operate. All right, we'll move on. But that doesn't mean they're done.
No.
They will be back.
They're on pause.
Yes.
That's all it is.
They're out of power for the time being. As soon as they get it back, they'll be doing the exact same stuff unless you start to codify a lot of these cuts and a lot of these actions and keeping these people out of D.C.
I'm not saying terrorists and Democrats are the same, because they're not.
Unless they're burning Tesla dealerships.
Yeah, which is terroristic in nature. But they have the same mentality. You have the watch, we have the time. And we're willing to wait to accomplish whatever it is, whatever destruction that we want to cause. We'll do it as much as we can, as hard as we can, and then we're going to let up and let everybody get fat and happy again, and then we're going to jump right back in feet first and pick up right where we left off. Morning Extra on Extra 106.3, Tug and Los until 10. When we come back, Rand Paul is right about Syria, and I think Trump agrees. Next on the Morning Extra.
The latest sports news, powered by 680 The Fan, and driven to extra listeners by RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs, Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
Here are your sports headlines for Wednesday, March 12th. Spring training continues for the Braves this afternoon, this time from Sarasota, as the Braves will visit the Baltimore Orioles. First pitch is set for 1:05. You can hear that game on our sister station's app. 680 The Fan. From the NFL, the Falcons have added a veteran pass rusher as former Georgia Bulldog Leonard Floyd signed a one-year deal with the Falcons. Floyd has recorded at least 8.5 sacks in each of the last 5 seasons. And the Atlanta Hawks are back at State Farm Arena tonight as the Charlotte Hornets are in town. The Hawks now hold the 7th seed in the Eastern Conference playoffs with a record of 31-34. That tip-off is set for 7:30. With your sports headlines, I'm Carlos Medina.
Looking for style, comfort, and an unbeatable deal? Right now, drive home a 2024 Ford Edge SEL for $14,000 off MSRP at Jim Ellis Ford Sandy Springs.
With a quiet cabin, solid ride, handling the rivals' luxury SUVs, the Edge delivers everyone and everything in style.
Plus, Jim Ellis Ford Sandy Springs make the process fast, simple, and hassle-free.
Find your perfect Ford today. It's just 4 miles north of 285 on Roswell Road. From powerful Mustangs to family-friendly Explorers, and America's best-selling truck, the F-150, your next Ford is here.
Hassle-free financing, expert guidance, and the best deals in Atlanta.
Jim Ellis Ford Sandy Springs, where you can always expect the best. Visit JimEllisFord.com or stop by today.
2024 Ford Edge SEL, example stock number F12135L. MSRP is $41,325. After the $6,000 Jim Ellis discount and the $8,000 retail customer cash discount, final sale price is $27,325. Just add TABT and state fees. Offer expires March 31st, 2025.
Neil Borch here. Maybe you've already taken the steps to improve your health, maybe save your life. You're using a CPAP for your sleep apnea. I've been using one for well over 20 years. So right now I'm here to tell you about a source for CPAPs and CPAP supplies here in the Atlanta area. CPAPs, etc. They're in Alpharetta. They have whatever you need. Roddy and Sharon are your CPAP experts, and they'll ship nationwide. More information, CPAPs.com. You
know the old expression, I love it when a plan comes together? Well, with our First Liberty Notes, this has been so true. Hello, I'm Brant Frost, founder of First Liberty Building and Loan. You hear about our family's company all the time right here on this station. For over 30 years, we've been the local lender who said yes when the big banks say no. A couple of months ago, we opened up our First Liberty Notes program to Main Street investors just like you, and the response has been just incredible. Folks from airline pilots to physicians to even pastors are now earning 8 to 13% interest rates while helping to fuel the growth of local small businesses. If you're a qualified investor with a minimum of $25,000, you too could be earning 8 to 13% interest. We'd love to have you join our First Liberty family today. Go to firstlibertyga.com and see if our First Liberty notes are right for you. Go to firstlibertyga.com. That's firstlibertyga.com.
First Liberty notes are not obligations of or guaranteed by any financial institution and are not secured by any collateral. They are not FDIC insured or guaranteed by any government agency. You could lose money. SEC accredited investor status must be verified. Securities not offered in any jurisdiction in which it is unlawful.
Hey, it's a Kimmer. You know, a great smile can make you more successful as well as make you happy. Yes, it's true. And your smile's waiting for you at my dentist, Dr. Dina Giesler, my friend for 30 years and dentist forever. This woman at Atlanta Smiles, atlantasmiles.com, the dentist with a doggy. It's really true, whether it's just regular cleaning or bridges or crowns or are your teeth bothering a little bit, maybe a little ache or something, or your gums it's not going to get better on its own. Take it from me, I found that out the hard way. Taking care of your teeth and gums, and everybody's happy. And by the way, you can relax with Dr. Dina. This is an individual, private VIP experience. The latest technology. She used AI to get my last thing done at my last visit. And don't forget the doggy. She's a little doggy to take a nap in your lap while you're getting your work done. And this staff, these ladies are angels, I promise you. You'll love going there. A veteran herself, Dr. Dina, 10% veterans discount off the top. Tell them when you call. 404-262-7733. Your smile's waiting. Get the doggy at atlantasmiles.com.
Are you the type of consumer that likes to do your research before you choose a company? Well, then you need to join Dan Watkins, Chris Lolamy, and myself, Jim Niarchos, every Saturday morning at 9 for the All Four Seasons Home Show. We only vet local businesses with a proven history of integrity, competence, and solid customer service. The All Four Seasons Home Show helps you make a good consumer decision, save money, and not get ripped off. You can also follow our podcasts on Apple, Google, and Spotify. The All Four Seasons Home Show, Saturday mornings at 9, right here on Extra 106.3.
Hi, my name is Steve from Marietta, and we hired ATL Turf Co. to build our dream backyard golf setup. They installed a large 4-hole putting green, a sand bunker, a short game area, and did a full conversion to artificial grass around the pool with decorative retaining walls. ATL Turf Co. was really creative. They were efficient. The installation was a breeze. Price was completely reasonable, and I definitely appreciated their communication throughout the project. I would definitely recommend ATL Turf Co. to anybody thinking about doing a backyard makeover. You can check them out online right now at atlturfco.com.
The legend Neil Bortz is only on Extra 106.3. With daily commentary you'll hear throughout the day. And he's on live with the Morning Extra every Tuesday morning at 7:30. Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station, Extra 106.3. And catch all of Neil's commentary on the Extra app.
Rand Paul, I think, is a really, really smart guy. You probably think that about him as well. He's been on Dr. Fauci's tail since the get-go, since the beginning. He told you from the beginning, just like you heard on this show, scammer, dude is low down. We need to get him nailed down and in front of a judge and having to tell the truth. And now with those auto signatures on those, the blanket pardons, maybe, just maybe.
Maybe.
There's a chance of it happening. Probably not, but just maybe. Rand Paul also said something that I brought up yesterday, but have brought up a million times, and I think it's so right. And I do believe Donald Trump gets this, and it is, Syria is no place for America.
There's no constitutional authority for us to be there. If Congress wants to vote, the majority of Congress, to go to war in Syria, first they'd have to decide who we're going to fight. Now, it doesn't mean we don't have sympathy. I have a great deal of sympathy. In fact, I think that the Syrian Christians are in danger. One of the things about Assad, even though nobody liked Assad, myself included, was he did protect the Christians. That's why it's difficult determining Middle Eastern politics and who you support and what you want. And sometimes it's be careful of what you want, you might get it.
That's right. Bashar al-Assad gone. Now you have these Syrian rebels that you have no idea. And I'm not defending Assad. Why would I ever do that? But at least you knew what you got. It was the devil you know. Now we don't. And Christians are being slaughtered. Lots of people are being slaughtered. And if you recall, Tulsi Gabbard, the left piled on her when she was saying the exact same thing. She didn't say, I like Assad. She didn't say, I support Assad. She just said, we know what we're getting. Donald Trump, back in 2015, problem in Syria. We have no idea who's on the other side. Maybe we're better off with Assad. We give the rebels weapons and ammunition, but to me, Assad looks like the better one in this instance.
I asked this Very simple question. If you have, let's say, 5,000 rebels, all capable of killing and destruction and everything that they're doing there, what's worse, 5,000 crazy people or one crazy dictator?
Seems like the choice is obvious because we're experiencing 5,000 crazies right now.
Why would I trade one crazy for 5,000 crazies?
Right. The one thing that I think has to happen is you have to get because there's 2,000 American troops there. We have to get them out.
Yep.
There's
Time to go.
We don't belong there. We shouldn't be there. There's no benefit for America there. There's no benefit at all that I can tell. Everything that has transpired has actually been bad for Christians there. So that's horrible. There's just not a win. And we need to let Israel and Turkey and whomever else, let those Middle Eastern countries figure this out. Let's not try to nation build. Let's not do the things that we've been historically unsuccessful at.
The truth is we've already created a terrorist vacuum there. So why do you want to have our men and women on the ground having to deal
not knowing where the bullets are coming from
with the craziness of what's going on there? You've already what's done is done. You know, I brought it up yesterday when we did a story time segment. What you did in arming and training these rebels in 2012 and 2013, you made your bed. Now we're having to lie in it. You've created a terrorist state. And why was it always the Obama administration that was really good at creating terrorist states? I mean, the caliphate really took off during that time period.
Yeah. What's it saying? They're saying 7 to 10 to 15,000 Christians have been murdered at this point. This is not good. This is the thing that when you're in church on Sunday, they're going to ask you to pray for. We have to have a nation that is willing to do the right thing and get out of there. We're not helping. And there's many cases in American history where, especially in the last 40, 50 years, where our meddling has caused issue. Our meddling has caused problems. And that's not me poo-pooing America. I love America. I served America. There is nothing more I love than the red, white, and blue. Nothing. But in this instance, we don't belong there. We shouldn't be there. We have to get our 2,000 folks out and let this be. I don't know how, at this point, I don't even know if there's anything we could do to help.
No. What are you going to do? Put down the rebels?
Nothing.
Fighting you with the stuff that you gave them?
Yeah, right. But
it's the old meme. We're joking around about it with Angela Morbido. My tax dollars at work. Also my tax dollars at work.
As the missiles are launching and then the counter attack to knock them out of the sky.
Yes, as we're shooting at rebels and they're shooting back. Both my tax dollars at work.
There's nothing we can do that I can tell that is going to be beneficial except get out, because I don't. Those 2,000 soldiers, don't know which way the bullets are coming from. They have no idea. It could be from rebels. It could be the Assad loyalists. It could be terrorists on the ground, because as you just said, there's a vacuum. There's terrorists from all over the world, and the Turks, they want to recreate the Ottoman Empire. What's there? That's part of it. They love the fact that it's unstable.
In recent years, every time we find ourselves in this scenario, it ends up costing American lives. When we take our eye off the ball and we get involved with silly stuff, and God forbid, we start trusting rebels and people we don't understand, this is what happens. This has been going on for the better part of 30 years. This is Mogadishu. This is Abbey Gate. This is our two wars we were fighting during the war on terrorism. This is a place we don't need to be involved in.
And I think Donald Trump knows that. That's the only saving grace, because Rand Paul said it aloud, but you heard Donald Trump. I quoted him from 2015. He already knew then. 10 years later, he definitely knows, especially with the chaos that's happening there. That's the thing that I'm hopeful for. That's probably not getting discussed enough, is getting those 2,000 troops out of there and letting the people that are in the neighborhood take care of the neighborhood. I hope and pray that Donald Trump does that sooner rather than later, because I don't want to see American blood spilled in Syria for no gain, for no ben. There are men and women that are willing to die for this country, but don't make them die for no reason. That's the only thing. That's how I feel about it. And is there a way to help the Christians on the ground? I certainly hope so. Maybe with supplies, maybe with a place to go, a place to evacuate to. If there's some way we can help them that way, then yes, I definitely want to help them because they are being persecuted. I mean, there's images of people just being stalked in the street, people being crucified. I don't know if you've seen the reports of that actually crucifying.
Video of that.
I couldn't watch it, and call me weak, call me whatever you want. I can't watch it. I don't have it in me to see that.
Well, it helps you recognize that you're dealing with animals.
Animals wouldn't do that.
Oh, yeah, these will.
Yeah, that's because I think they're worse than animals. I think at least animals.
They are subhuman animals.
Yeah.
So whenever we end up, every now and then we'll have some cruise missile that takes out a village and everyone goes, oh, my God, we killed so many women and children. Well, that was collateral damage. We went after animals. The world is filled with a lot of people that just because of how you operate and what you think when you go to Starbucks, you walk into your office and you say hi to everybody, that everybody acts like you. That is not the case. In fact, there are places in this world that they'd take your kidneys if they could and sell them. And they wouldn't think twice about it.
And to prove that point, to illustrate that point, you saw it happening on the U.S. southern border. And that's not Syria. That's not the Middle East. That's across the border in Mexico where kids are going on vacation right now on spring break, which is a crazy thing to do.
That is still one of the wildest stories that is not gaining any traction of the ranch there that they basically had. It was an extermination ranch.
And they found boots and they found clothing. They found all of the jewelry.
We talk about the black market that is the selling of human organs. That sounds exactly like that's what they were up to there.
Wouldn't surprise me at all, as disgusting, as disturbing, and anti-human as that is.
The world is not always a great place.
No, it's a broken place. It's the reason we need the Lord. Because it is a broken place, and it ain't getting better anytime soon. When we continue on Extra 106.3, the last 4 years were fake. AstroTurf. From signatures to offices. Next on the Morning Extra on Extra 106.3, Tug and Los until 10. Got you a Neil Bortz report and a Fox News update now.
Time for the Bortz Report, exclusively on Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station, Extra 106.3.
While talking to Tug and the gang yesterday morning, I mentioned that under the fair tax, no family would pay any money to the federal government until the family's basic needs were cared for. Then the emails and the questions started coming. Well, how in the world does that work? So here is the quick explanation. First of all, no taxes, no income tax, Social Security tax, Medicaid tax, business taxes, corporate taxes, none of them. All government programs are taken care of through a consumption tax. So are you paying that consumption tax every time you go out and buy something? Yes, you are. So how can I say you don't pay anything to the federal government until your basic needs are met? Here's how that works. The Commerce Department posts figures every year on just what it would take for a household of 1, 2, 25, whatever, to pay for the basic goods they need. Shelter, medical care, groceries. You've heard this referred to as the cost of living. Well, take that figure and divide it by 12. And every household in this country, every month, would receive that figure, the monthly cost of living, deposited into their checking account, savings account, debit account, whatever. So they're out there paying the consumption tax, but they get this prebate every month that covers everything they've paid in taxes up to that cost of living number. In a country that prides itself on freedom, isn't it only logical that every household should be free to spend the money they earn on their own needs before they start funding the federal government? The fair tax does that. It needs the attention of Washington, D.C. Learn about it at fairtax.org. Talk to your representatives. This is the best path forward for America. Neil Bortz, Extra 106.3.
Have you considered securing your family's future? Protecting your hard-earned assets, navigating complex legal matters with ease. Nelson Elder Care Law is here to guide and empower you and your loved ones. As a family-owned and family-focused business, our mission is to exceed your expectations, offering absolute assurance and peace of mind. With our trademark Absolute Protection Trust and expertise in customized estate planning, Medicaid crisis solutions, probate administration, guardianship, and conservatorship, Nelson Elder Care Law protects what matters most to you. Imagine a team dedicated to safeguarding your legacy every step of the way. Our flat fees ensure transparency, and our customized plans prioritize your family's specific needs. Are you worried about protecting your family and your legacy after you're gone? Let us help you ensure you're absolutely protected from whatever curveballs life may throw your way. Schedule a complimentary legacy planning meeting with our legal team in Marietta or Woodstock today. Contact us at 678-250-9355 or visit NelsonElderCareLaw.com.
Don't miss the Braves home opener at Truist Park April 4th through the 10th when the Marlins and Phillies come to town. Fans can enjoy some fun during the week, including Braves Walk on April 4th, where fans can line the streets of the Battery Atlanta as the team parades down the street and into the ballpark, welcoming in the 2025 season. And of course, the Braves are back with some iconic giveaways and ticket packages like the Chris Sale Cy Young bobblehead presented by Delta Airlines on April 9th. And brand new to the lineup this year, the Hello Kitty ticket package on April 10th, which includes an exclusive Braves and Hello Kitty co-branded light-up figurine. Plus, don't miss the first Kids Club Day on Sunday, April 6th, where the first 3,000 kids will receive a Chris Sale Triple Crown to wear. Some great seats still remain, and it's the perfect way to spend your spring break. Visit Braves.com/promos to check out the fun and freebies during the opening homestand and purchase your tickets. Atlanta Braves Baseball, we are Braves Country.
WFOM and W292EV Marietta, a Dickey broadcasting station. The 9 a.m. hour is presented by Southern Exteriors. Quality and precision you can rely on.
Fox News.
Inflation is easing, according to this report for February.
Fox Business Network Cheryl Casoni on the Consumer Price Index just out.
Month over month, we got a gain of 0.2%. The street was looking for a gain of 0.3%. We came in 2.8% year over year.
That is less than the 3% annual rate in January, which had continued a months-long trend of inflation creeping up, and Wall Street likes an end to that trend. We have stock futures rising after big sell-offs over worries more inflation's coming because of tariffs. So far this month, the Dow's plunged 2,500 points, and as Fox's Ryan Schmelz reports, there are new tariffs today.
A 25% tariff on steel and aluminum imports are now in effect amid economic uncertainty. President Trump backing off of his threat of a 50% tariff on Canada after Ontario Premier Doug Ford implemented a 25% charge on electricity exports to the U.S. The White House says Ford decided to pull those tariffs after speaking with members of the Trump administration.
But Canada is retaliating this morning to the new steel and aluminum tariffs, planning charges on nearly $30 billion worth of U.S. exports. The European Union also imposing tariffs on $26 billion of American goods. Russia went on the attack across Ukraine, killing at least 5 civilians hours after Ukraine agreed to a 30-day ceasefire in talks with Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who just said he'll talk to the Russians next.
If Russia says yes, that's very good news, and we will begin that process and do everything we can to move that process forward. If they say no, then obviously we'll have to examine everything and sort of figure out where we stand in the world and what their true intentions are.
The day after House Republicans approved a funding plan to fund the government ahead of a Friday deadline, House Speaker Mike Johnson tells Fox,
we have to keep the government operating, and Congress has a responsibility to do that, and Chuck Schumer has to weigh that today. And I hope he does the right thing.
Senate Democrats may force a compromise since Republicans cannot pass the bill on their own in the Senate without the help of the Democrats. America's listening to Fox News.
Meet Kelsey. When she found out she was pregnant, she wasn't sure where to turn. But after meeting with the counselors at a preborn network clinic who loved and supported her, and after hearing her baby's heartbeat on a free ultrasound, she chose life.
When a mother looks at her child through a sonogram, it does something to you. You know, I ended up deciding to keep my son, who is now 5 years old today. He's amazing. He brings absolute joy to my heart. I could not imagine life without him.
By introducing a woman to her baby on ultrasound, a baby's chance at life doubles. If you have the means, would you consider a leadership gift to save babies in a big way? Your tax-deductible donation of $5,000 will sponsor Preborn's entire network for 24 hours, helping rescue 200 babies. To donate, dial pound 250, keyword baby. You can be able to say, I help save a life through Preborn. Dial pound 250, keyword baby, or go to preborn.com/hope. Sponsored by Preborn.
Search for the Extra 106.3 app wherever you download apps by searching XTRA 106.3, Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station.
I try to get right to the meat of the conversation because I know you're busy. I know you got things going on, and we will. We'll talk about the things that matter. But then Jure goes throwing on Sledgehammer by Peter Gabriel. And that stops me in my tracks, front office Los. I can't help it. Great record, great artist, and there's a cool version. I know Howard Stern is a lunatic. I know it.
He didn't survive 2020.
No, he didn't. He is a broken man. And from legendary broadcaster, the one that everybody wanted to be like, to a guy that nobody wants to be like because he's so broken. But he had, what's the dude from, I think it was 5 Seconds of Summer. I'm going to have to look him up now. Oh, my gosh. His name is escaping me.
We'll just keep listening to Peter Gabriel.
Yes, he did a cover of this song on the Howard Stern show, and it was off the stinking charts. So good. If you get a chance, just do a quick Google search, Howard Stern, and Sledgehammer, and you'll be blown away. I don't know why the kid's name is escaping me.
I like Peter Gabriel.
Me too. I love Peter Gabriel. He was he was ahead of his time. He obviously part of Genesis and then went out on his own and then just knocked it out of the park. Different. I mean, it's not like super, mainstream. Here's what pop music's supposed to sound like. It was always kind of
It's got an eclectic sound to it.
It swerved back and forth a little bit.
One of the coolest music videos, too.
Oh, yeah.
Sledgehammer video.
It was legendary for
groundbreaking
MTV.
at the time.
Yeah, with that claymation.
Yep.
Wasn't that what that was?
Yeah, you had claymation along with that.
Stop motion.
Stop motion.
There you go.
Yeah.
Dude, unbelievable. So, sorry, I didn't mean to distract us, but that song
No,
always
I'll
stops.
talk Peter Gabriel anytime.
That stops me in my tracks, man. I love that record. I think it was called So, and it was a good one. It had him in that video. It had him floating around in outer space. He wasn't really floating around in outer space.
It wasn't real?
It wasn't real.
It was make-a-believe?
Yes, I know it's hard to believe that MTV would put something on that was make-a-believe. Here's another one.
For entertainment purposes.
Here's another one. Michael Jackson didn't really turn into a werewolf.
Well,
Get this.
You don't know that.
Well, look,
you're
actually right.
I saw that documentary, sir.
Yes.
The Thriller documentary.
Well, that and the documentary after that, the one that was on, I think, Netflix, Finding Neverland, was that what it was called or something? Holy cow.
No, that's different.
Yeah,
totally different.
Well, it was the one, whatever the Michael Jackson documentary where they talk to all the kids.
Yeah.
That's the one I watched.
You're thinking about the HBO one.
Okay.
Yeah, because Finding Neverland's actually pretty good.
What is that one?
That's actually kind of the story of writing.
Oh, got it.
All right. Peter Pan.
Got it. Okay, yeah. So I get my documentaries mixed up, but unbelievable story. And people that know Michael Jackson was guilty of sin watch it and dismiss it.
You're going after a Johnny Depp movie.
I didn't mean to do that.
You're like, and they're talking about going after they're having sex with these kids.
Yeah, right.
I was like, look, Finding Neverland's actually a really sweet movie from 2004.
That's not it at all. Y'all know I'm not a movie and TV guy. I get that stuff wrong occasionally. It just happens. I don't mean to. Whatever the one was that was on HBO.
So I saw this really funny movie the other day. It was called Schindler's List.
Yeah, it was great. Couldn't quit laughing.
Slapper.
Couldn't quit laughing. It was amazing. No, but the HBO one when they talked to those kids, holy cow!
Yeah,
I knew it was
really
real
dark.
I knew it was real to begin with. I was further convinced after seeing that documentary. But the reason I bring up fake is because the last 4 years have been completely AstroTurf, completely fake.
So this ended up showing up on social media yesterday, and I loves me some Alina Habba in terms of when she's snarky. When she does her just get out in front of people and say, here's what's going on, I'm like, okay, that's lawyer speak. That's totally fine. I love it when she's throwing her snark in your face because it just comes across as, all right, she's hot, she's snarky, and you're not going to beat her on this one. So I want you to take a listen. Alina Habba is doing a tour, and what it was a TV studio that was made to look like the Oval Office. And she explained how this was the area by which the Joe Biden administration executed their plans. Take a listen.
We're in Biden's fake Oval Office, everybody. And I've actually figured this out. I now know why. I now get it. There is a screen, teleprompter to the face. All I can say is the last administration was a disgrace.
I don't know what that word means, but I assume it means fake.
She was showing you, as they're panning around, how it's a TV studio made to look like the Oval Office, to where all the equipment that they needed in order to coach him up and to make him look presidential, that's where it was. Most of the stuff did not go on the Oval Office. Remember when he had the address to the nation and we said, that doesn't look right. Look out the windows, and how everything had been blacked out. We said that's pre-recorded.
Yeah.
They tried to make it sound like it was live. It was never live. Most of the stuff was always pre-recorded on a soundstage in a TV studio to make it look like he was more functional than he was. More often than not, he was probably already asleep or already suffering from the sunsetter's end of dementia.
Right. So they recorded it at noon, 1, 2, 3, anytime before 4 because he couldn't function after 4
After
p.m.
4 o'clock was a problem.
And so they recorded it ahead of time. Joe had no idea what he was doing. Joe had no idea what he was saying. He had cue cards in this huge screen because you watched the video. I mean,
it's a massive screen as far as a teleprompter screen.
Even on, like award shows, they'll have the script, or down at Fox 5, they'll have the script in front, but it's on a relatively small teleprompter. This was like the biggest screen it's like the big screen in your living room at your house with big words and big bold print. So even Joe Biden with dementia could do it.
For those of you who have never been in a TV studio, the teleprompter might only be 14, 16 inches.
It's like the size of this computer.
It's not a large screen that you're reading off of. Now, it's going to be probably about 8 or 9 feet away from your face, so it's not a problem, and the typing's going to be very big. This screen was like a 50-inch screen.
If not bigger. It was unbelievable. And just when she walked around the room, it was like, have you ever seen like when they show you the backstage area or the side stage area of Jeopardy or Wheel of Fortune or The Price is Right? Probably a better one. The Price is Right looks like this grand, huge room.
Yeah.
And it turns out it's not at all.
Right.
It's actually a really small soundstage.
It's a soundstage.
That's exactly that's the feeling you got from this video when you saw it. You're like, oh my.
It's like you thought you were in the White House. Mm-mm. You were not. One of the biggest indicators of how fake this previous 4 years was, and I thought this was really intelligent, you can always see a Marine posted outside of the Oval Office when the president is in there. And so today, you'll see a Marine standing outside of the Oval Office because that's where Donald Trump is getting stuff done. The talk was how there was never a Marine posted outside the Oval Office.
Because he was never in there.
Because he wasn't there.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
It's on a soundstage. He was never in the Oval Office. Even when they recorded it to make it look like he was in the Oval Office, he was not in the Oval Office. He was on a soundstage. So you can just take that alone and say, oh, look, there's a Marine posted outside the Oval Office on the outside, on the visual end. Yeah. And you know that means Donald Trump is working in the office. There was never, over the last 4 years, a Marine posted there. Not because they weren't following protocol. It's because the president, the POTUS, was not in there.
And that should lend credence even more to the discussion we had earlier in the show about the pen and the auto signatures. He couldn't do anything. He wasn't able to be in front of the American people live. He could never do that. And when he did, the last time you saw him do that, it was a complete meltdown. So it shouldn't be any surprise that whomever, whatever group or whomever as a person was running the administration would have to use the auto sign because Joe Biden wasn't capable. He wasn't capable of addressing the people. He wasn't capable of doing the job. And he wasn't capable of even signing legislation or pardons, as it were.
You start connecting dots, and Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, now it makes a lot of sense when he brought up, you bring up some of these executive orders with Joe Biden, and he looks at you like, I don't know what you're talking about. Because he never signed them.
That was the liquefied natural gas, specifically, the one you're talking about. Yeah, had no idea.
Had no idea.
He argued it, actually.
Yes.
I didn't sign that.
I didn't sign that. Yeah, you did.
Oh, yeah, you did. Well,
somebody did.
You probably didn't. They used your signature.
Somebody used your signature to make this stuff happen.
Exactly right.
I just don't know if there's ever going to be any repercussions.
There won't.
But think about
I'm
it.
sure there won't.
What a fake era where all of it is for lack of a better term, it's the Matrix. It's all a simulation. You were told by the media, and that's why the media died in July of 2024. You were told by the media everything's fine. He's as sharp as a tack, and that if you don't believe him, F you. That's what I was told by Joe Scarborough.
Joe Scarborough on Morning Joe, because we keep it on here in the studio. But that opens the door for this part of the conversation, because common sense issues keep showing up in Trump's favor. This time it's 69% of people in America believe that the federal government is corrupt. This is why. It's things like this. A fake Oval Office, fake auto pen signing for bills and pardons. That's why most people believe that the government is completely corrupt. 70% believe that the government is corrupt. And until 60 days ago, they believed that it was more corrupt than even the most the biggest of these corporations that people get mad about, when you get a hard time with your cable bill and these giant corporations that you have to deal with, and you call customer service and it drives you up the wall. Most people believe those companies do that on purpose. As a matter of fact, HP has admitted as much. They add 15 minutes to every phone call that comes into them for tech support because they want to frustrate you, so you go do the help yourself on their website, and they eventually will get rid of the person.
That's low down, but it's true.
It's the truth.
Yeah. Keep it slow.
It's exactly, slow it down. That's corrupt, and people recognize it, and it ticks them off. Nobody wants to deal with that. The American people believe that even more than like HP doing that and all these major companies, the federal government is even more corrupt than them. That's what most Americans believe, and they have no reason not to when you have a sound stage that the president is speaking to you from.
Yes, when you have 69% of the American people who believe that government is corrupt, and then you give them more of this stuff.
You give the ammunition to believe
We're not even feeding into conspiracy theory. These are just facts. Look, the president had a sound stage to look like the Oval Office because he couldn't work in the Oval Office. The auto pen signatures basically represent 99% of the stuff he signed. How many more do we have to go down? How many more do you recognize that? And I think, again, 70% of the American people are like, this was as corrupt as it gets. And I told you, the only thing they won't deal with, people deal with bad government. They don't want to deal with corrupt government. That's why they got voted out so astoundingly.
And this is why it matters, at least in my opinion. When people believe that they can trust a corporation more than they can trust a company, it matters because when it's a big company, you can ultimately change, right? You can change phone providers. You can change internet providers, cable providers. You can change all that. You can change who you get your natural gas from. You can change who you get your power from most of the time. You can't change the government. Like, you can walk away from those people. You can break the contract, or maybe you don't even have a contract. The government makes you pay them. You have no option to change. You must send them your tax dollars. You have no way around it. And that's why they won't tolerate corruption.
I think the last 4 years, what was so strange about it, but I think it's the best way to put it, you had an administration that had an adversarial relationship with the entirety of the country. I mean, they came in telling you that half of you are the enemy. And then if you didn't go along with them, then even if you voted for them, y'all are dumb too.
If you ever change your mind, because so many minorities changed their mind during this election, what did the Democrats get on national TV and say?
They said that minorities were dumb.
Yes, they did.
Y'all don't know what we're doing for you. You don't recognize it because y'all are dumb.
It's exactly what they said. They said that about anybody that walked away from the Democrat Party.
Barack Obama said as much during the election, and Black America went, what?
Yeah.
Huh?
And Joe Biden threw out the whole, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. Like, what kind of statement is that?
That was always the hook.
But it worked for so long, and people finally got fed up with it. People were like, no, enough of this. You've told me for how long that you're on my side? You told me for how long that you are here to help, and you weren't, and you never have been, and we're walking away. And so now all we got left is to call you names, to And who gets convinced to come back when somebody's calling you a name?
Did you just call me dumb for not voting for you? Well, that settles it. I'm going to vote for you.
That's right. You've got my vote. Well, I mean, what? That didn't make any sense.
When we actually had the argument that was put forth by Democrats that the reason why they lost an election was because Americans didn't understand how much they did for them.
And how good it was. You didn't understand how good it was.
You didn't know how good you had it. While you're running up crazy credit card debt and you lost your car and you can't afford to buy a place because, you're a first-time home buyer and you're 28 years old and it's well beyond your means, but you don't know how good you have it.
They talk to you like you were a child most of the time, like a parent scolding a child. That's the way it always came off. It was never, hey, take this into consideration. Why don't you think about this? Here's our plan. Here's their plan. Here's why ours is better. Let me explain it to you. No, they came out because they couldn't explain it. They just came out calling you dumb.
Let's talk about the difference in what's going on right now. And it's not supposed to be this way. Donald Trump is a real estate mogul, a billionaire, yet he comes across as your grandpa, like the nice dude who's trying to do stuff for you. And if you have a problem with him trying to do stuff for you, then he's going to let you know, hey, I'm still doing this for you.
Yeah. It's for your own good, even if you don't get it.
J.D. Vance comes across as your snarky brother who you love, and you're like, man, it's like Goodwill Hunting. My boy is wicked smart.
He's wicked smart.
He's wicked smart. Elon Musk is the richest man in the world, and he comes across as, listen, I'm just trying to do a job for the American people. And this is the mentality that is throughout this entire organization, that the adults, the normal people, even though they're far from normal, every single one of them, they are rich, elitist, but yet they're speaking to regular American people, and American people are getting it.
It's because they can. They can speak to the American people.
That dude in Nebraska is like, richest man in the world told me here's why they're cutting this thing so it can lower my tax burden for my children and my grandchildren. Makes sense to me.
And I love the fact that Donald Trump's been honest about the bumpy road that's ahead with the economy. We've been in a recession for over 3 years. They just tried to change the definition. We're going to continue that. Until Donald Trump can get his arms wrapped around and implement policies that make sense for Americans. It is going to be a bumpy road, but no more bumpy than we've already had. It's going to be just the same.
By the way, Doge, as of last night at 11 o'clock, you know what they canceled? $620,000 for an LGB plus inclusive teen pregnancy prevention program for transgender boys. Think about that one. Let that one kind of simmer in your head as far as what that means.
The fraud, waste, and abuse was off the charts, and that's why the American people support Doge.
They're telling you what they did.
Yeah.
They're being very honest with you and up front.
What is it, 76, 77, maybe even 80% of Americans support what Doge is doing? It's another 80-20 issue.
$700,000 for studying cannabis use among sexual minority, gender diverse individuals.
What does that even mean? I don't know what that means. I mean, that's like some sort of dictionary to look all that up.
You got to check into my marijuana use if I'm not exactly sure who I am sexually.
Good Lord. Well, I'm glad you can dumb it down for me because I don't know what that meant. 9 o'clock hours brought to you by Southern Exteriors, your home exterior solution since 1999. Over 200,000 jobs under their belt. Windows, doors, siding, roof, gutters, especially with these storms coming in. You got a lot of rain going to be coming down. If you have problems with that roof, call them today. Do not wait. 8779 Southern, southernexteriors.co. 10% off any job or 12 months, 0% financing. That's how they'll treat you. Phil Holloway joins us next. He is a lawyer here in town that you've probably seen and heard many times in many places. We'll get into some of that with him. But we're going to talk about, at least to begin with, the trouble that Fulton County DA Fonnie Willis is in. Next on Extra.
Attention Warriors, are you a veteran ready to navigate to success after service? Tune in to the Warrior Alliance Network. Join us as we spotlight inspiring stories, provide essential resources, and connect you with a community dedicated to empowering veterans. From career advice to health and wellness tips, the Warrior Alliance Network is your go-to hub for post-service success. Tune in Saturday mornings at 11 a.m. on Extra 106.3. Join us on the mission, the Warrior Alliance Network, where warriors thrive together. Visit us at thewarrioralliance.org for more information.
Atlanta, good morning. It's Front Office Los. Let's talk about Howard Brothers and an event that is coming up. It's near and dear to my heart. Get the grills fired up and ready to cook because next month, April 26th, Howard Brothers will be hosting their second annual First Responders Cook-Off at the Lula store. Okay, Lula, that one's located at 4336 Cornelia Highway in Lula, Georgia. It's the time to celebrate the heroes who keep our community safe and also have some friendly competition when it comes to cooking off with these first responders. Enjoy some family fun, some delicious foods, some samples while you visit. Again, that is going to be the Lula location of Howard Brothers on April 26, 4336 Cornelia Highway in Lula, Georgia. Don't miss the showdown starting at 9 a.m. Saturday, April 26 at Howard Brothers in Lula.
True Prep on Cobb Parkway is your one-stop shop for emergency preparedness supplies, including freeze-dried food, water filtration, first aid, and more. They also have a large selection of firearms, including a huge selection of AR-15s, firearm accessories, and ammo at the lowest prices around. They're locally owned and operated, and you can visit their store in Marietta on Cobb Parkway or online at trueprep.com. That's TRUprep.com. Prepare today for a worry-free tomorrow at True Prep.
Hey, it's a Kimmer. You know, a great smile can make you more successful as well as make you happy. Yes, it's true. And your smile's waiting for you at my dentist, Dr. Dina Giesler, my friend for 30 years and dentist forever. This woman at Atlanta Smiles, atlantasmiles.com, the dentist with a doggy. It's really true, whether it's just regular cleaning or bridges or crowns or are your teeth bothering a little bit, maybe a little ache or something, or your gums it's not going to get better on its own. Take it from me. I found that out the hard way. Taking care of your teeth and gums, and everybody's happy. And by the way, you can relax with Dr. Dina. This is an individual, private VIP experience. The latest technology. She used AI to get my last thing done at my last visit. And don't forget the doggy. She's a little doggy to take a nap in your lap while you're getting your work done. And this staff, these ladies are angels, I promise you. You'll love going there. A veteran herself, Dr. Dina, 10% veterans discount off the top. Tell them when you call. 404-262-7733. Your smile's waiting. Get the doggy, atlantasmiles.com.
Central Heating and Air Conditioning wants you to know the start of the new season is the perfect time to ensure your home's comfort. Don't wait like most people do to have your HVAC system serviced. Your home should have maintenance twice a year. Maintenance helps keep your system running at peak efficiency and extends the life of your equipment. So turn to Atlanta's Carrier experts for your system's maintenance. With Central, you get Carrier products, Carrier warranty, and Carrier peace of mind. It's allergy season, and Central Heating and Air can fix what ails your house and possibly your family with home ventilation and air quality products. Central has packages designed around health using variable speed, fresh air ventilation, air cleaners, air purifiers, dehumidifiers, and more. Central Heating and Air is one of the few second-generation, locally owned and operated HVAC companies in Atlanta. With Central, you're not just a number, you're a member of the family. It's been that way since 1947, and they've serviced over 100,000 customers right here in Atlanta. Call 770-GET-HEAT or go to centralheat.com.
We're smart, we care. We're Central Heating and Air.
Hi, this is Bruce Hagen.
And this is Matt Hagen.
Hey, look, accidents happen, and that's when Hagen happens. And now, Hagen happens twice, because there's two of us.
We're here for you on what is probably your worst day, so that all the days ahead can be comfortable and taken care of properly.
We treat your personal injury case personally. You're not just a number to us. You're a human being, and we're going to treat you with the respect that you deserve.
Let us here at Hagen Law be your advocates. You can find everything you need to know at Hagen-Law.com.
Hagen-Law.com.
Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. Indeed's Sponsored Jobs feature helps you stand out and hire fast. Start at Indeed.com/credit.
Attention, Atlanta. It's the biggest truckload safe sale of the year at the Safe Market and Liberty Safes of Atlanta. And it's happening for 3 days only. We're unloading American-made safes at up to 40% off. Gun safes, home security safes. With 3 convenient locations, there's never been a better time to buy. Hurry, because when the truck's empty, the deals are gone. Shop online or come to one of our 3 stores for even better savings. Thursday, March 20th through Saturday, March 22nd only. Call 770-242-0055 or visit thesafemarket.com now.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
Here are your headlines for Wednesday, March 12th. The Georgia House passed the budget for fiscal year 2026. Major items include public safety, infrastructure costs for future sports events, and education. The $37.7 billion budget includes $1.5 billion in new spending. It now goes to the Senate for review. The Georgia Senate passed 2 bills imposing stricter laws on the sale of hemp-based products. If passed into law, those bills would ban THC-infused drinks and other products currently sold in Georgia. Atlanta Mayor Andre Dickens launched his re-election campaign Tuesday. So far, no challengers have announced their intentions to run against him in November. Today's weather, sunny skies with a high of 77 degrees. Showers are expected tomorrow afternoon with a possibility of severe storms this weekend. With your headlines, I'm Jerry Payne.
A name you'll recognize if you've been a listener of radio or television shows or even podcasts. will be Philip Holloway. He's a former prosecutor, legal analyst here in Atlanta, and you've seen him on Fox News, you've seen him on CNN, you've seen him on the Megyn Kelly Show, you've seen him on radio stations here in town, and we're glad to welcome him to the Morning Extra at Extra 106.3. What's up, man? How are you?
Oh, man, I'm just having a great time. Thanks, you guys, for having me in. I love the space over here, right here at the Battery.
Yeah, the thing, Los, he is first thing he said when he came in, he was like, man, I'm a Braves season ticket holder. I love being here.
The strange part about it, Phil, as much as we're in here every day, and when the season comes around, it's really cool. But I have turned into that person that as we get into like the dog days, everyone's like, well, why don't you just go to the game? I'm like, I'm tired of going to games. It's like I turned into that guy. I'm like, I got to get away from here.
Yeah, it's so much fun. It's like it's a bit of Disney World when you come to Dickey Broadcasting Company. From our sister station, The Fan, down the hall, which is the Braves Radio Network, the largest sports network in all of professional sports, and then little bitty old Extra 106.3. We're like the little engine that could, and Lowe's got exiled down here because he's a conservative.
Does that sound familiar? Does it seem how interesting how that happens?
Sometimes that happens.
I feel like you've had some experience with that before.
A little bit here and there.
Once in a while it pops up. The thing that I wanted to talk to you about the most was the whole Fonnie Willis case, because Tom Fitton from Judicial Watch released a video about 8 minutes. I watched the whole thing, and it took me a minute to figure out. Like, wait a minute, this is from a couple weeks ago when this hearing was originally heard, and the judge in the case was like, "Hey, do we need a special master to go through and find documents?" Because Fonnie says there are none. Now all of a sudden, magically, there's 212, and I expect, Phil, that is the tip of the iceberg of what really exists.
Well, there's certainly, where there's smoke, there's fire, and I'm sure that you're going to find some fire burning here. The bigger picture with Willis, this whole thing, started, of course, with my friend and colleague, attorney Ashley Merchant, who I call the Aaron Brockovich of this whole unraveling of the Fonnie Willis regime, because she's the one that came forward with sort of the smoking guns, if you will, right? And other entities, other people, Tom Fitton, Judicial Watch, and even the Georgia Senate now, they're all starting to ask questions. And so you've got this litigation involving the quest for records and documents. We learned from the billing records from Nathan Wade that he was billing Fulton County for things related to the visiting with the January 6th committee folks and the White House counsel. So people started recognizing, look, there may be some connection to some coordination with the Biden administration and other politicos in Washington who have sort of a political agenda. So now she's having to answer for, at least to some degree, to the extent she's being forced to. She's going to have to answer for her own motivations in bringing this criminal lawsuit. The state Senate is in litigation with her over the validity of their subpoena. So far, she's losing that. She's not winning by and large on these open record suits. Ashley Merchant herself brought one that Willis lost as well. So she's in the position now where she is literally on the defense, but she's not wanting to defend herself. She's going to great lengths, in my opinion, to try to avoid answering these very important questions.
Phil Holloway is our guest. You can always follow him on Twitter, Phil Holloway ESQ. Again, over on X, over on the former Twitter. I want to ask you about that because I think we've been looking a lot of times for a smoking gun. We all believe that this administration, the previous one, had a lot to do with a lot of these prosecutions that were going on around the country. It feels like this is the biggest smoking gun because of the sloppiness of what went on here.
Well, yeah, I think sloppy is a good way to put it. And look, in my opinion, it seems like nobody ever believed that the billing records of this special prosecutor would become such an issue. But the reason it is an issue is because no other jurisdiction really in Georgia does this. I mean, they have a staff of professional lawyers that are paid to be full-time prosecutors down there. And the idea that you're going to bring in somebody from the outside who's not a prosecutor, who's in private practice, and then pay them as an independent contractor at a rate that is significantly higher than the people you have that are full-time professional prosecutors, that just in and of itself
red
is
flag
enough
number
to ask
one.
questions.
Well, it's like a semen out of Tommy Boy. Remember when Tommy goes in and gets out of school and he's got his desk and David Spade's character's like, What is going on here?
Yeah.
He's just walking into an office and a great salary. Of course that's going to bring red flags. Another thing, when you talk about how sloppy, or Los talked about how sloppy it was, it's almost like they would have been smarter. You know how, do you use Venmo at all?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so Venmo, you always put, like when you're, let's say you're buying into, I don't know, Super Bowl squares, because we recently did that. Or what you put pizza.
Yeah.
You never put what you're actually,
or a gift or coffee.
You never put exactly what you're doing because you don't want people to know. They weren't even smart enough to change it up. The sloppiness is so apparent.
Yeah, well, they didn't ever think that anybody was going to be reviewing this. So the whole thing with her, with Willis's litigation or her indictment, she's trying to criminalize lawyers who are being creative and thinking outside the box. She's trying to criminalize the free speech, in my opinion, of some of these defendants. I mean, regardless of what you say about the election of 2020,
I got lots of opinions.
There are opinions everywhere, but you've got a right to express those opinions, right? Whether they, are accurate or not. And then we've got the whole word like misinformation and spreading disinformation. Those are little weasel words, right? Who is the arbiter of what misinformation is, and who gets to be the decider of what the truth is?
The Ministry of Truth
Miss Willis?
Yeah, that's right, exactly.
Does Miss Willis have a monopoly on what the truth is, or do other people get to have an opinion?
Yeah, that is the part that from the start of this case, Phil, it was if you're calling Georgia and saying what is going on there, and I believe that I was cheated out of votes, and I believe that there was some sort of weirdness that went on with an election, that's strictly an opinion. At no point have I seen any evidence where Donald Trump somehow used the power of the presidency, somehow executed something within his office where you said, okay, that's overstepped his constitutional bounds of free speech.
Well, not only that, there's this whole idea of like, oh, this person is trying to influence an election. Well, duh.
Everyone tries to influence an election.
That's what all the ads that you see.
People spend millions and billions of dollars to do
The
that.
whole point is to influence an election. That's why we have candidates that go on media, they go on radio shows like this, they go on social media, and they give their opinions and all kinds of things. So, the whole thing about, the left has come up with these buzzwords, misinformation, disinformation, attempt to influence an election, as if these are all bad things.
Right. Well, but for them, when you're caught with your pants down, it is a bad thing. And I feel like that's where they are. They're trying to, how do we spin out of this? And we'll use those because people hear them and they react to them. They respond to that because everybody wants to believe what they think is the truth.
Well, the Georgia Senate is going to get to some of the truth, I think. Their subpoena fight, they're winning. They're going to be able to, I think, compel her attendance to have to testify under oath before the Senate committee. Just like, by the way, other people from Fulton County, Rob Pitts and others from the Fulton Commission have been down there voluntarily, testified under oath. Why can't other elected officials be required to do the same thing? She's not special. Nobody is above the law. I think she's used that phrase. So if there's a valid subpoena, she's got to go sit and answer questions under oath. That's just the way it is.
Do you believe that is going to be the point where we get to at least the bottom of some of this? Because she deflected as much as she could, or as a friend of ours, Ray Giudice, likes to put it, her answers weren't really good answers when she was on the stand.
Well, she prevaricates and she tries to filibuster, if you will, and just sort of take over things. My favorite was when she's up there calling Ashley Merchant a liar, and she just seems to be a little, I don't know, in my opinion, a little unhinged was the way I would look at it.
I think so.
But she did not come across credible, and to borrow a phrase from the judge, her testimony had the odor of mendacity, right? I
had to look that up.
The stank, if you will, of something that's not true.
Well, and I'll tell you something that we have heard, and probably you as well. Ashley Merchant didn't want to go down this road.
It's not like she's super conservative.
Yeah, the way I was told was that once it was revealed of what was going on as a person with her responsibilities, she was legally inclined to have to bring this to the court's attention.
Ashley is a fine lawyer. She's a zealous advocate for her client, and she's going to look if her professional obligation requires her to pull on this thread, she's going to pull on it and see whatever happens. And my goodness, she got a good thread to pull, didn't she?
I admire that. What happens if Fonnie Willis doesn't go down and testify I mean, the subpoena's out there. What happens? Is she going to jail?
Well, that would be, the Senate would have to take it to court to enforce it, and if you violate a court order, the penalty is contempt of court. So Willis has been represented at least by former Governor Roy Barnes. I imagine he knows the law and will advise her if it comes down to that she's going to have to honor her legal commitment. So I don't think it's ever going to come to that, but she at some point I think there will be a full reckoning. And by the way, I predict here, it could be today, tomorrow, very soon, the Georgia Supreme Court is going to finalize her being legally booted off of this indictment. So then we're going to be left with an indictment with no prosecutor.
What a mess.
Yeah, what a mess. Could she be disbarred at some point?
Well, it's my understanding there have been bar complaints filed. I seriously doubt that the State Bar of Georgia is going to disbar a prosecutor. And the idea, look, just hang with me here.
Okay, because I'm like, what?
Right, so if she presents a case to the grand jury and the grand jury issues a finding of probable cause, that is a legal finding by a legal entity that's empowered to make these decisions that a crime probably was committed and these defendants probably committed it. That tends to insulate prosecutors from all things that they do in pursuit of that indictment.
I hear what you're saying, and I kind of understand it. But I think that's what pisses people off so badly, that you could bring a case like this. You could work behind the scenes, allegedly work behind the scenes with the White House, with Jack Smith, to bring a case against Donald Trump, trying to bring down his presidency, trying to put him in jail. You took a mugshot, and then you're going to get away scot-free?
Well, and that to bring this sort of back full circle back to the Senate, this is the whole point of the Senate conducting these hearings. There's going to be some legislation. We've already seen a Senate bill that passed that would authorize prosecutors to have to pay the costs of defendants if they are booted off a case. But we're going to see, I think, some legislative reforms that have more oversight, because as it is now, and it has been for as long as I've been in the legal system, there is no penalty for prosecutors who run amok. Okay, and let's face it, it doesn't happen that often. Most prosecutors do not engage in misconduct, but sometimes they do. Think about Duke lacrosse. Okay, we can think back in history. I just probably told everybody how old I am, but if you look back throughout history, you'll see examples where prosecutors misuse the power of their office, but historically the penalty for doing that has been almost non-existent.
And let me ask you that, Phil, as we'll finish up here with the Fani Willis part of this discussion, as Phil Holloway is our guest. Is this the end of her political career? Because it sure does feel this way to me.
No. Remember, she's in Fulton County. Donald Trump in this last election,
but she had bigger aspirations than just Fulton County. As big of a job as that is, I think this woman had aspirations for the Senate and for national.
Well, if your question is, if the question is, does this derail her larger ambitions? The answer is maybe, but it's not going to do much to, I guess, diminish her in the eyes of the voters of Fulton County, who continue to vote overwhelmingly Democrat.
I vote in Fulton County. I did not vote for her.
You're the one.
I'm the one.
You're the one.
Good for you.
Yeah, standing my ground.
That other 75% seems to be a little bit confused.
I'm planting my stake best I can. Morning Xtra, Xtra 106.3. We'll continue with Phil Holloway. You've heard him all across radio in Atlanta on national programs, CNN, Fox News, Megyn Kelly Show, talking about this very trial, this very case. And we'll come back because I want to ask you about something that may be a little bit out of your experience, but I think you could probably put some good light on it. We'll talk about some of Joe Biden's pardons, and then the fake use of the signature. Next on the Morning Xtra.
The latest sports news, powered by 680 The Fan, and driven to extra listeners by RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs, Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
Here are your sports headlines for Wednesday, March 12th. Spring training continues for the Braves this afternoon, this time from Sarasota, as the Braves will visit the Baltimore Orioles. First pitch is set for 1:05. You can hear that game on our sister station's app. 680 The Fan. From the NFL, the Falcons have added a veteran pass rusher as former Georgia Bulldog Leonard Floyd signed a one-year deal with the Falcons. Floyd has recorded at least 8.5 sacks in each of the last 5 seasons. And the Atlanta Hawks are back at State Farm Arena tonight as the Charlotte Hornets are in town. The Hawks now hold the 7th seed in the Eastern Conference playoffs with a record of 31-34. That tip-off is set for 7:30. With your sports headlines, I'm Carlos Medina.
Atlanta, it's Mark from the Safe House. Now that President Trump has unburdened us from what could have been, our country's finally headed in the right directions. But the Democrats are screaming and yelling and losing their minds. And unfortunately, the bad guys are still here and they want your stuff. Thank you, Joe Biden. And customers are still reporting break-ins and thefts of their hard-earned valuables. Don't wait till it's too late. Get a quality safe from the Safe House. We carry the largest selection of safes in the Southeast. And remember, gun safes are sales tax-free at Atlanta Safe House. So give us a call or go to atlantasafehouse.com.
Insurance companies know that you don't know a lot about the law. So maybe it would be better just to let your lawyer make the call to the insurance company when there's a problem. David Van Sant should be that lawyer. He used to work for the insurance company. He knows who to call, what to say, and he has your best interest at heart. Plus, if you don't get paid, either does he. Van Sant Law, 855 GA Injury or vansantlaw.com.
The older I get, the more I think about trust. I think about the people in my life who have my trust and earned my trust, and the trust that I have placed in some people who I later learned abused that trust. I know we're alike in that way. We don't trust a lot of people anymore. It's like we're all Ronald Reagan, trust but always verify to make sure we're not making a mistake. I find it a little exhausting, quite honestly, and that's why I started realestateagentsitrust.com. I didn't have good experiences with buying and selling my homes. So we built Real Estate Agents I Trust to introduce you to one of the thousands of agents all over the country that we work with that we have verified that they will help you have the most successful and good real estate transaction possible. Our network agents share our sensibilities, have great track records, are good and decent people, and I trust them to help you with your real estate needs. So whether you're moving across town or across the country, visit realestateagentsitrust.com. The name says it all, realestateagentsitrust.com.
Senior Specialist/Engineer Service Operations positions offered by CETA Information Networking Computing USA Incorporated in Atlanta, Georgia. Provide service operations support to internal and external customers at airports and worksites throughout the U.S. for IT infrastructure in accordance with the terms of the Customer Contract and Service Level Agreements, SLAS. Must be willing to travel domestically 20%. This is a fully remote position that reports to the company headquarters in Atlanta, Georgia. Job duties are performed at various airports and worksites throughout the U.S. Apply with resume to gosia.mikolajczyk@sita.aero.
Are you concerned about securing your family's future and assets? Look no further than Nelson Elder Care Law. As a family-owned and family-focused firm, we offer absolute assurance and peace of mind through our comprehensive asset protection services. Visit NelsonElderCareLaw.com to explore how we can safeguard your legacy and provide tailored solutions for your family's well-being.
Let's be here to enjoy the Left's Meltdown together. Extra 106.3 is dialed into all the latest breaking news and headlines, so you don't have to suffer through the left-wing spin. Get it right from Atlanta's only conservative voice. Extra 106.3 FM and the Extra app.
So we let you know everything that was happening with Fonnie Willis and what to expect out of the Fonnie Willis hearing in the last segment. Let's move on since we have a legal expert. And I didn't realize until just a few minutes before you got here, a former Navy JAG, too.
Yeah, that was my first job out of law school.
That's cool, man. I was definitely not a JAG. I cleaned more toilets than I did anything. I was just regular old topsider on
but you worked for a living.
Yes, sir, I did. Yeah. Let me tell you, it's the best sparkling toilet you've ever had in your whole life. Let me tell you.
Deck division, right?
Yes, right. Yeah, they're like, look at this guy. He's the best cleaner we have.
I had never heard the stories of Tug, who's not a smoker, how he would always have cigarettes on him because he's like, that's how I got the longest break. Just go sit outside with a cigarette. Wouldn't even touch it.
You wouldn't. Nobody else got.
And a cup of black coffee.
Yeah, right. Smoke breaks is how you got a break in the Navy, and I didn't smoke, but I was like, okay, I can figure this out. I buy a package, just like Los is saying, I buy a pack of cigarettes and I light it and I just hold it for hours, and, whatever. And then I would just hand it off to one of the smokers. They were like, yeah. I was like, you want this? Because I'm going back in. They're like, you're not going to smoke it? I was like, I don't smoke. They were in disbelief. They were like, yeah, this is smart. I like
good
the way
Navy
you work.
tricks.
I like the way you work. Well, let's talk about some of the pardons. And I want to get your, because we talked about this morning, Los and I. Are these pardons, can they hold up? I imagine that there will be some way to weasel out of it. But the pardons that Joe Biden, blanket pardons for half his family, the January 6th committee, and so many others. But we've now learned that those pardons weren't signed by Joe Biden. It was the auto pen that signed it. Constitutionally, you physically have to sign it for it to be legal. Is there any way that some of that can come back?
All right, so let's unpack that. I mean, this is all, we're in unplowed ground here. This is the kind of stuff that's really never happened. I mean, normally, all right, Tug, if you and I have a contract and you're going to buy a car from me, it's a buy and sale agreement. If I don't have the mental capacity that's necessary to legally enter into an enforceable contract, the contract might very well be void, and there will be a defense to enforcement. And likewise, if I take a legal action, if I sign a document, if I sign an affidavit, I've got to have what's called testamentary capacity, or to sign a will. It means I've got to kind of know what I'm doing legally.
So you can't take advantage of people that don't know what they're doing.
Otherwise, it could negate it. Now, the question is, does that same sort of a concept apply to presidential actions such as the signing of a pardon? And there's the answer is it's not really quite so clear, and here's why. This is not typical contract law. Everything that the president does in his or her official capacity is governed by the Constitution, right? So the Constitution says that if there's a question about the mental capacity of the president, there's the 25th Amendment and the process that the 25th Amendment sets out for dealing with the mental incapacity of a president. I am of the I'm of the legal opinion. Again, this is just my opinion. Other people might come down differently on this, but some people actually have the same position as me. From a pure constitutional perspective, if there's a question about the president's mental capacity to take certain actions, that is probably the sole and exclusive remedy, because the Constitution, by setting out the process in the 25th Amendment, it probably means that all other traditional avenues to challenge capacity are probably foreclosed, simply because we're talking about the president. It's a very unique, very limited, very specific situation. So I believe, unfortunately, that because nobody acted on the 25th Amendment, we're never going to know. And so I think that this is we would call, the courts would call this a non-justiciable, sort of a political question. The courts, I think, would not want to get involved in litigation that looks back to determine if Joe Biden was mentally competent to take the actions that he took. It's just the kind of thing that courts will say, because of the Constitution, the 25th Amendment, that is the remedy for a non-compos mentis president, and that's the exclusive remedy. We, as the courts, are not going to create another way to attack these. You may not like the answer, but that's my opinion,
kind of what I expected.
It's just based on my understanding of how the Constitution works.
And Phil Holloway is our guest, and Phil, I'm not asking you to wear a tinfoil hat. That's what I do.
Okay.
Like, I put on the tinfoil hat. But does it not seem strange that for a former president, we haven't seen Joe Biden since January 9th. It just disappeared. And so the question of mental capacity is no longer on the table because he's no longer in public.
Yeah, he's not in public. And look, those of us who lived through the 4 years of that administration, we saw, I mean, think about the debate that he and Donald Trump had. What is it, May of last year, well before the conventions. When does that ever happen? They don't do debates pre-convention, but they did that so that I think the world could see, the true Joe Biden, that he does.
That was the Democrats' maneuver.
He did have some diminished capacity there, a lot of it maybe. And so it stands to reason that if he was in that kind of bad shape in the spring or early summer last year, that fast forward to today, he's certainly not going to be in any better shape. They're not going to be bringing him out in public.
But that's the thing that raises the questions for me, right, as far as the legality of what he did. Sure, I understand that the courts are not going to go back. I understand why.
We don't have a legal precedent at all for any of this.
Right.
It just never happened.
So I get that. But at the same time, I want to know who signed them, because he didn't. He was incapable.
I think what needs to happen is the authorities that do exist to investigate the government, the Department of Justice. You've got Congress. There needs to be thorough and robust investigations into the previous administration, specifically on the question of who knew how bad he was and what did they do to cover it up. And if they committed a crime, by doing so, they need to be prosecuted. Now, that's probably not going to undo any executive actions, but at least it can help the American public understand who was responsible for that train wreck.
CBS News said that was the most underreported story of the year. And I couldn't help but think to myself, I'm sure like you did and like Los did, be like, you're the media. You had every chance to do it. And then when they were in the clear, when they were safe, then they bring it up. Now it's like, I feel like it's going to be a money-making thing. It's nothing to do with tell the truth because I don't believe the mainstream media is in the business of telling the truth.
Well, you got Jake Tapper and CNN and those that are now.
That's the first of many.
They are now, pretending that they weren't part of the cover-up. Right? You can find plenty of examples where they, on CNN and elsewhere in the mainstream media, they literally covered up for him. And they're saying, oh, my goodness, maybe it was a problem there after all.
Yeah, you're the problem. That's why nobody listens to you. That's why mainstream media viewership is through the floor. Nobody's watching MSNBC. Nobody's watching CNN because nobody trusts them, and you shouldn't. And for that matter, you don't even have to trust Los and I. You don't have to trust Phil Holloway, our guest this morning. Go back and find out for yourself. Go back and read. Read differing opinions, differing point of views. Make your own decisions. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to Los. Don't listen to Phil. You figure it out on your own. But I think once you do that, once you start reading, you'll end up in the same conclusion that we have.
It's been my contention, Phil, that the media, the modern media, the legacy media, died on June 27th because for 4 years they told us he was fine.
Well, they stopped being media and they stopped doing journalism and they became advocacy organizations, and so they were and that's how it turns into propaganda. And once it turns into propaganda, it's not media anymore. And once the media is sort of in the tank for one political party, it's just not how our system is supposed to work.
And yet, that's exactly what they did with it. And Los has put it really well. They're still operating off that same playbook, yet the American people are not listening
it hasn't changed.
Anymore. They're still trying to do the same thing.
They're still acting like it's the same power they've wielded for 30, 40 years.
Well, with power there comes responsibility, and I think they have a responsibility to objectively cover the news, cover whatever administration is in the White House, and if they abrogate that responsibility, then they just, like I said, they're just propagandists. That's it.
See, that's the Spider-Man responsibility, but Tug has never seen any Marvel movies, so he just doesn't understand that with great power comes great responsibility, Tug.
I've heard people say it before, though. It makes sense to me.
It sounds good.
It makes sense to me. You can convince me otherwise.
Who is this Spider-Man you speak of?
The last time I did watch the early 2000s, Tobey Maguire Spider was the last ones that I watched. I don't get into the Marvel. I don't get into the
I look to make Game of Thrones references with him or all these. And I have to remember that he spent 4 years on a ship. And so if it falls in that time period, no chance.
Look, they had Game of Thrones in the Navy.
Well, I didn't see it. I was out by then. It was funny. My wife watched it. I went up there and watched the first episode, and I was like, I'm out.
I'm like, Tug, bend the knee. And he's like, what are you talking about, bend the knee?
I don't know what that means.
About bend the knee?
Yeah, you probably get the references.
Oh, yeah. Of course. I watched it all. I love it.
There we go. Phil Holloway, I hope it won't be the last time you come in.
No, I look forward. Thanks for having me in, guys.
Oh, my gosh. It's great to have experts' opinion, experts' legal points of view on this show, because Los and I just call it like we see it. Don't necessarily mean I'm a 3-time college dropout, Phil. Los has his master's degree, so you can see the yin and yang in here,
Well, it's been a lot of fun. Thanks so much.
You betcha, man. All right, we're going to turn this thing over to the Glenn Beck program. When Glenn is done, Clay Travis and Buck Sexton, the big show in all of conservative media. And then the local afternoon show with the Kimmer, Pete, and Flounder here on Xtra 106.3 from 3 until 6 for Phil, for Front Office Los and Board Op Jeray. My name is Tug. Y'all come back now, you hear?
Zelensky is asking for another chance, and it is Trump that looks like the strong leader. So let's wait and see what the Democrats try next.
Catch Neil's commentary every day on Xtra 106.3 and the Xtra app.